Okay. Okay. Microphones. And what about this? Sit up. Push it up. Right. Remember, you gotta stick your I'm still about to become MC. Yeah, watch it. Don't stand here though. I've been told to. With the cameras, the beginning. Yeah, I wasn't told to. I'm pretty sure. Yes, they did. So people to watch their step, something new came as we have. All right, all right.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gents, boys and girls, submitted. Assalamu alaikum. I'm not gonna need to whistle today, inshallah. I can do, and I'll do it in the mic. Ah. So that's a warning. I'll whistle through the mic. Inshallah, we are going to commence in just a couple of minutes, so just bear with us. Please just try to keep the noise a little bit down, and just bear with us one moment. Thank you.
Yeah. Ready, yeah.
Ready? Are they ready?
Are you guys ready? Yeah, everyone ready?
No, Shane, can you just give us the mic so we can do our intro and then stand here? That's where the Christmas is. It's for the beginning bit. Or is it? Ready? Go.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the conference. Well, you lot didn't even clap. Let's do that again. Welcome to day 2 of the conference. Thank you. Now that everyone is awake, we are the MCs today. My name is Anas,
And I am Hannah.
and we will be your MCs for day 2.
Yay. Okay, so first up we do have Shane, who's going to be giving his speech. But before that, just a couple of reminders. Please ensure that you're not whispering. I know you think you're whispering, but trust me, the whole room can hear you. If you are going to be moving around, try to do it quietly. If you think you are a person, like just judge yourself from yesterday, because you are your best judge. If you are a person that goes out and comes in and goes out and comes in, needs a coffee, needs the bathroom, needs to chat, whatever, then maybe sit nearer towards the back. Another point, we get comfortable as human beings, especially at conferences, and you'll find if you look around, the majority, not everyone, but the majority of people will sit in the same seats next to the same people. Try and make a little bit of a change throughout the day. Yeah, okay, Busha, we know you've got your name there. You have to stay there. It's okay.
Spice up your life a little bit.
Spice up your life a little bit, yeah, with others.
Sure.
Inshallah.
But yeah, inshallah, let day 2 commence and introducing Shay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So real quickly, I haven't been up here in a while. It's been like a year from uh since I've done this. Yeah. No, yeah, not a year, a long time. Really long time. So excuse me if I have any like voice cracks or anything like that. So anyways, mashallah, I'm really happy to be here with all my friends and family. It's my first time in Scotland. Praise God. So what I'm going to be talking about today is the importance of this life. Now, don't really get it twisted. Like, compared to the hereafter, this life is not important at all. But there are many important aspects of this life that we need to get reminded of. So, uh, do this. Okay. So, inshallah, I'm going to start off by reading an excerpt from the introduction. It says. Even in our worldly dimension, Any enterprise expects its employees to be loyal and devoted to the welfare of the enterprise. If an employee is not totally dedicated to the enterprise or is shown to have divided loyalties, he is immediately dismissed. Since the humans and the jinns sided with Satan, then turned down God's offer to reconsider their rebellious acts, the angels expected Satan and his allies to be banished from God's kingdom. It was immense mercy from God that He granted us the additional chance to denounce our crime and redeem ourselves. To carry out this extremely merciful plan of redemption, God created death. The divine plan called for bringing the rebels into another existence where they have no recollection of the heavenly feud. Under the circumstances of this life, the humans and the jinns receive both God's messages and Satan's messages, then freely choose either side. Based on their free will decision, they are either redeemed to God's kingdom or become permanently exiled with Satan. Wait, actually, sorry, give me one second. So, I kind of just want to look at the last sentence says it says based on their free will decision they are either redeemed to God's kingdom or become permanently exiled with Satan. This is kind of exactly why I'm giving this speech. It's to show you the importance of leading a righteous life and doing what God says. Um, God has already given us all the instructions to make it back to Him, but we need to make sure that we read those instructions very carefully and correctly. This is our ticket back to heaven, basically. It's our last chance to redeem ourselves and show God that, wow, I was really stupid, but I truly do repent for what I did. Now, so basically, um, there's two views um, of the importance of this life. And there's so oh sorry. We see the disbelieving standpoint and the believing standpoint. We see that the disbelievers their importance of this life is basically money, drugs, sex, or any type of materialistic item. And we see from a believer's standpoint that it's soul growth, righteousness, and upholding God's commandments. Um, these like for the disbelievers, these are seriously the only things that they care about, and they think that this is the type of thing that will, get them ahead in this life, and um, they think that this will bring them happiness. But as we know, we see so many people, so many famous people, they have all this money, and they're not happy at all. I could confidently say that I praise God am happier than 90% of, or 95, 99% of all the famous people, or all the people that don't have God in their life, Um, and as true believers, we obviously know that these are not the important things, and the priorities we need to be focusing on. We know that soul growth, righteousness, and upholding God's commandments are the only true important aspects of this life. We know that this will bring us back to God. Nothing else in this life really matters. If we do what God says, He will provide us with perfect health, wealth, and happiness in this life and in the hereafter. And then at the bottom, there's a surah that I mean a verse that I put in. It's Surah 10, verse 64. It says, "For them joy and happiness." Oh yeah, for them joy and happiness in this world as well as in the hereafter. This is God's unchangeable law. Such is the greatest triumph. So now I'm going to be talking about the unfathomable hereafter. So basically, um, there's a few verses. I'm going to read the first three, inshallah, right now. It says 3:136. Their recompense is forgiveness from their Lord, and gardens with flowing streams. They abide therein forever. What a blessed reward for the workers. 282. As for those who believe and lead a righteous life, they will be the dwellers of paradise. They abide in it forever. 736. As for those who reject our revelations and are too arrogant to uphold them, they have incurred hell where they abide forever. So when I titled this Unfathomable Hereafter, uh, I was thinking about staying somewhere for eternity, you know? And even for believers, knowing that inshallah we will go to heaven, um, kind of having that thought of being someplace forever and ever and not never leaving it. It's kind of hard to think of, but mashallah, it's a lot easier knowing that inshallah we'll be going to heaven. And I seriously cannot imagine on the day of resurrection when the disbelievers thought that everything, absolutely everything that they did in this life, thinking that they're ahead of everyone, that I have all this money, I'm gonna be happy forever. I'm gonna be happy forever. I'm gonna have all this money forever. I'm not gonna have any hardship in my life, you know? Um, so sorry, one second. Yeah, so they basically wasted their entire life doing the wrong thing. So now I'm gonna read 280 inshallah. Eternity of heaven and hell. Some have said, hell will not touch us except for a limited number of days. Say, have you taken such a pledge from God? God never breaks his pledge. Or are you saying about God what you do not know? So, I just kind of wanted to explain a little more about the word infinity. So we all know, and I'm gonna try my best to explain this. We all know that mashallah Noah is like a really, really good math wizard, so he would be able to explain this better, but I'm gonna try my best, inshallah. So, it basically infinity means forever and ever, and mathematically speaking, it's a number that can't really be counted because it never stops. It keeps going and going and going. So, you know, basically any number that you put next to infinity or um or any number that you put in the same equation as infinity, it's basically infinity, but technically speaking, like if we take this life, compare it to the hereafter, it's nothing. It's nothing, you know? So the average lifespan is about 71 years. And I mean, 71 years is a pretty long time. Uh, I'm sure we can all agree to that. But uh, but so mashallah, God is merciful enough to give us this lifetime to make a decision on whether to believe in him and follow him or to not. 71 years compared to eternity or infinity, like I said, means nothing. This life is absolutely nothing compared to the hereafter. And it's like, you know, yeah. And in fact, God calls it an illusion. So, next slide. Okay. So I'm gonna read this inshallah. 985. Worldly materials are no. Do not be impressed by their money or their children. God causes these to be a source of misery for them in this world, and their souls depart as believers. So it very clearly, mashallah, it's clear and straightforward. Um, it says God causes these to be a source of misery for them in this world. As believers,
It's a misprint.
I'm sorry, what?
Their souls depart as disbelievers, not as believers.
Oh, that's, sorry. I would change that, but I can't. Um, so sorry about that. So as believers, we know that our money and our children are not the most important thing in this life. We know that God will, inshallah, make these a source of joy for us as long as we're in His kingdom. I actually got this verse from Anas. Mashallah, he gave his teaching on Sunday in London. And he said something that kind of made me think, which I've heard before, but he kind of said in a different way. He was saying that they can't buy their way into heaven. I've heard that. And then he said there's no card swiper. You can't bring a barrel of cash and think that God will accept it, you know? God only accepts a big, strong, believing soul. We know that this is the only way to get ourselves back into heaven. So, uh, this is basically it's just a little example. These are all big famous rappers, right? As you can see, they're all flexing all their money that they have. Um, And I mean, obviously, we know that, like, wow, this is a lot of money. It would be nice to have it, but then you got to also realize that this means nothing. God, like, will not accept this, and this doesn't actually bring them happiness. It doesn't bring them joy. It doesn't bring, you know, may bring temporary happiness, but we know that in the hereafter, this is not going to bring them anywhere. And like there's a few like or like I have like an example. There's this one in California, there's this one highway. It's called Highway 9. And I'm sure some of the San Jose community have heard about it. But when I go up there, I see all these nice cars, all these nice, awesome cars. And mashallah, I really, really like cars. And so when I see these, I'm always like, dang, like it would be so nice to have these. And it would like I think I always think to myself, oh my gosh, I would be so happy if I had this. I would be so happy if I had this. But then I also have to remember and realize that it's not really like it's not gonna it's just gonna bring me temporary happiness. I'll get the car, then I'll drive it, and then maybe I'll get bored of it, maybe I won't. But like that's that's just but yeah, like cars, money, houses. You see all these big houses, they don't mean nothing. Um, and yeah, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have it, but they really don't mean nothing. So, why we're down here on Earth? So I just listed a few things. To worship God alone, give our obligatory charity zakat, do our prayers, uh, sorry, attend the studies, lead a righteous life, strive in the cause of God. So there's a lot more things that I can add to this, but it would basically take over an hour, and um, these need to be our true priorities in this life. This will, God willing, doing all this will lead us to true health, wealth, and happiness, and will keep us in God's kingdom as long as we uphold these commandments. This will give us happiness now and in the hereafter. So we're supposed to re-educate ourselves and denounce our ancient alliance with Satan. So yeah, that's it.
So, thank you very much.
There's
Let's make it down the right of the
okay.
Never easy to get. So, now it's time for questions.
Yeah,
What's your favorite sister?
my favorite sister. I only have one.
Yeah, so
Sean, thank you for that reminder. It's really good. How do you make sure that you're aware of the hereafter, like in your day to day? You're busy with school, work,
Yeah. Um,
friends.
I just mashallah. So I really just try to remind myself there's a bunch of reminders that I get throughout the day. And there's a lot of things that I see that uh I get chances to praise God, and it's not more so like it's like reminding me of the hereafter, but it's just I there's a lot of things that give me chances to thank God or think about God. And mashallah, that's just a way that I'm able to remember God throughout my day. And I guess you could say maybe like get me to think about the hereafter and what I do throughout my day and make sure that God is always my priority throughout the day. So yeah. So like,
Speech was a reminder. Wanted to hear your take on how you can strike a balance between seeking God's provisions and maintaining the mindset that this life is, you know, kind of like you mentioned.
yeah. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, basically like knowing that this life doesn't really mean anything, but also making sure. So I mean, it's kind of um like we're living in this life right now. So obviously the things that we have to do um in order to live and be comfortable and everything, like those things are important to us right now. But then you also need to remember, like, and it's good to live this life with um all all these different types of provisions that God is giving you, but um at the same time you also need to remember that most of the stuff that you get in this life is just gonna bring you, temporary happiness, and it's just gonna and it we just try to remember that, I guess, um true deep down, that this stuff isn't actually um uh worth it. Yeah. Like 100%. But yeah, I guess I hope that answered your question. But
Um, Islamic very much
so
like a great speech for sure. Way to start the
thank you.
second day.
Praise God.
The topic of the hereafter. Excuse me. The topic of the hereafter is a really important one because one of the criteria is that we believe in the
Mhm.
hereafter. And like you said, it's all I mean, when we look around the world, you see the nice cars and the
Right.
houses,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting those things, but there has to be an order and a priority to get them, just like you were saying. So I wanted to ask as well, in terms of like that priority, I mean, in my mind you listed them perfectly: attendance, Quran studies,
Right, right.
attend Jummah, do all those other things, which are kind of like the baseline
Yeah.
activities. And kind of like what Hannah was saying as well, like, are there moments where sometimes we might miss the opportunities that we could grasp on what you would think would be the best way to kind of think about the hereafter again and reform? So, yeah, in the sense of like, okay, I could do better here or there
Right.
to try and prioritize the hereafter.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I think I understand your question. You're saying like to like how do I go through my day prioritizing the hereafter?
Yeah, yeah.
Prioritizing the hereafter. Okay.
Bettering it every day.
Bettering it every day. Well, one thing that I've um began to do, mashallah, was every night I think about the day that I had, and before I go to sleep, and I try to think about all the times where I could have um like thought about God, or I could have done um like just think about God more and make God my God throughout the day. And so I think that, like I said, it's not really about like me thinking about the hereafter. It's kind of just me more thinking about God throughout my day, and that's what I do to make sure that each day I can get better at making God my God. Thinking about Him more than 50% of the day.
Yeah.
You know, and I do actually try my best to do that, and yeah. So
That's a concept.
okay.
Anybody have the last question to your mum?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dave. That's great reminders.
Sure.
I'm wondering, how do you try to prioritize hereafter in your age group when you have so many different video games you can play?
Well, well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It is video games do distract a lot when you're playing them, especially if you get upset or you get mad and you start raging. But it's it's hard to remember God in those. Well, mashallah, it's gotten a lot easier for me to remember God. Praise God. I don't get as mad as I used to. There's some times where I do like hit my desk really hard, and my parents do hear it and stuff. And my mom comes into the room, she reminds me. And um, but I think that like what I try to do is that if I get mad at a game, I don't keep playing it because I know that it's just not good for me. And I get off the game, I play something else that's relaxing, that's not competitive. I play something I play something else that's not yeah, yeah. That's not but I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that, you know. You go from playing something very competitive, getting upset, and then you're like, okay, I need to relax. So then you play something else, but then you also at the same time you thank God for, you know, giving you the option. Yeah. Thank you.
That's close.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
Shane, thank you very much. I
yeah.
personally took away some good takeaways. If I'm playing a game and it's upset me, don't stop playing games, just play it first. Very much. And thank God for the opportunity of the different games. Okay, that was a great beginning. We do have another speech, but before we do, we have a special announcement we'd like to make. It's Seb's birthday. So like Seb's been a great help in, organising everything for the conference, and he's been really helping out quite a lot. And we have been requested to do a third time for him for his birthday. So please, inshallah, repeat after me. This
So we'll move on swiftly to the next speech. Just a reminder to all the speakers, there are some extra wires here today, so please do watch your step when you are coming up and away from the podium. Our next speech will be, we have to be seen. Mind your step. And that's hi everyone online. Okay, the next speech is Kiana. Is Kiana here? Yes, mashallah. Big round of applause for Kiana.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good morning. Hope you're all having a great day and got a good rest. Um, so how should I change the slides? Oh, this? Okay. Um, so again, I'm Kiana from San Jose community, if you don't know me. And Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I've been struggling with for a long time, and I'm saying it because I don't want you to think that I've mastered it and I'm here to preach or anything. And that's because I always think that people who share their own real personal experience in life, I mean, I myself learn a lot from them. So this is one of the challenges that I've been dealing with. So we're going to start, inshallah, and the topic is uh, this. I did. Oh, bottom. Okay. Okay. It's the difficult path. That we know that in Surah 90, God has talked about it, and it shouldn't be scary. It's just difficult, but this is the best picture that I could find. Matches the topic. Yeah. And that person, it was supposed to represent each one of us, but yeah, it's scary. So the my goal for, I mean, with giving this speech is to find out why God called this path a difficult path. Why is it difficult? So let's start it with a true story of mine, which goes back to last year when I came to, sorry, when I went to Iran, when I went back to Iran to visit family and friends. And one night I was invited to one of my old friends' place over for dinner, and I was the only guest. So when she was preparing food, I followed her to the kitchen, and I was just watching her preparing food for me. And she was also talking, that she was telling me a story, and I noticed that when she was doing stuff, she went to I mean, a piece of trash was generated. She grabbed it, went to an empty spot of the kitchen. She was about to throw the trash on the floor, but she didn't. She came back to the cabinet under the sink and opened it and threw the trash in the trash can. So the first time it was like I just watched her, but the second time it got weird because she did the exact same thing, and she went to the same spot and she did that, and but she didn't throw the trash on the floor. She went to the trash can. The third time I was ready to ask her why she was doing it, and she herself started laughing, and she was like, it's been a week that I've relocated the my trash can, and I forget every time. I was like, okay. It looks, it sounds like a simple, silly story, but it really went. I mean, I couldn't shake it off of my mind. I was curious to see how come she herself decided to change the location of her trash can, and still for a week, let's hope not more than that, she forgot where the trash can was. So I was thinking it's not something that I haven't experienced myself, and I'm sure you guys have also have kind of similar experience in your life. I mean, how many times you guys have tried to go to bed like early or wake up earlier, but you do it for 2 or 3 days, and then boom, you get back to your default. Or like when you want to, I mean, I'm sure you've decided to go to the gym, like make it a routine or a regular thing in your life, but again, after 1 week or 2 weeks, or best case scenario, 1 month, you get back to normal. Or let's go deeper, like when you get angry and you, after you lose control, you decide not to lose your temper again, and you really decide to do that, but you forget again, you do that. Like when you something happens and you object, but you really get regretful and you decide not to do it again in the future. But less than 24 hours later, again, something doesn't go your way and you um, show objection some way. So this is something that happens to all of us. We decide to do something, we make a decision, but we can't make it a habit. So we've always heard that this is something that everyone knows, that making new habits and change old habits to a new one is not something easy. People struggle with that, and I myself was thinking after this story of my friend, I was thinking about it a lot. So I did some researches about how our brain really works. And a research was done in 2009 by some people. I don't know how to pronounce their names, but it was at University College London, and they it says that it takes between how is it how can I okay. So it says that it takes between 18 to 254 days to exchange an old habit with a new one. So it makes sense, right? It takes an average 66 days for us to create a new habit in our life. So and I think that's why God has given each of us a lifetime to fix all of our flaws and purify ourselves. So, subhanAllah, our brain is a wonderful organ, and it's responsible for our thoughts, actions, and behaviors, and almost everything in our body. I mean, it's responsible for everything in our body, and it's made of billions of neurons, creating pathways to guide us to guide us towards um, old sorry familiar behaviors and habits. When we keep doing something or keep repeating something, these pathways get stronger. So if we want to change a habit and make a new one, we have to. I mean, it has to um, rewire all these pathways to create a new one. And in general, there are four reasons why our brain resists against creating a new habits. One of them, I told you, is because it needs to create new pathways. The second one is conservation of energy. Our brain naturally tends to save energy. So creating these pathways requires energy, and um, our brain doesn't want to spend that energy, kind of. And also, the third one is familiarity and safety. Again, our brain by nature is designed to keep our body safe, and that's one of the reasons that, and by experience, our brain knows what our old habits don't hurt our body. So it resists against new habits because uh, let's say it doesn't know that if the new habits are harmful or not. And also, emotional attachment is another reason. So the thing is that our old habits are kind of um, rewards, small rewards for our brain, because it doesn't need to. We don't get stressed or like uncomfortable when we want to do our old habits. So it's something that somehow wants to uh, how do you say, it doesn't want to lose its comfort zone, something like that. So these are the reasons that our brain generally resist against any change. But oh, I wanted to say this first. So there in the research that I was talking about, they concluded that if we want, it's not impossible to create a new habit, but it requires dedication and consistent effort. So, and it has to be a part of our character to be consistent and don't give up when we face difficulties. Also, you have to be dedicated to our goal. It means that whenever you set a goal, you should know that there is no other alternative and you're gonna reach to that goal no matter what. So, and also you don't get distracted by the things that are around you. Um, you're focused on what you want to gain. And consistent effort, because we fail, I mean, whatever we want to gain in life, we might fail a lot of times. If you want to start a business, if you want to raise your children, like righteous children, let's say, or if you want to get successful in education, you might fail 100 times, but you have to continue going forward and be consistent to become successful. And this is not something that scientists or psychologists have to tell us. We have it in the Quran, mashallah, that we have to be steadfast in 3:142 we read, our claims must be tested. Do you expect to enter paradise without God distinguishing those among you who strive and without distinguishing those who are steadfast? So steadfast is the dedication that the researchers say, right? It means that you don't waver. You're focused on what um, you wanna. I mean, what you wanna gain at the end in the hereafter, right? And the other one, sorry, go back, is perseverance. We read in 47:31, we will certainly put you to the test in order to distinguish those among you who strive and steadfastly persevere. We must expose your true qualities. So these should be our true qualities. It should be a part of our soul. And uh, God is telling us that we have to have this. Oh, I wanted to say something. I forgot. Shoot. I sorry. So stressed. I think you realize you can tell. So about the steadfast, I wanted to give you an example to understand it more because um, I thought about it a lot. Like for example, today you decide to lose weight, right? And then you really make this decision. But at 7, a friend calls you and he's like, "Dude, have you checked this sushi place? It's legit. Let's go." And then you totally forget that your goal that you wanted to lose weight and you bounce right away. So that means dedication to your goal or being steadfast means you don't lose concentration on your goal. Yeah, this is what I wanted to say. Oh, so I just wanna play an audio. Oh, sorry. No, it's okay. Yeah. So I'm going to play an audio, inshallah, from the messenger. You should just click on it.
On this slide. It's on the slide. Just the next slide.
I think we converted.
Want me to pull that up?
I think because we converted.
Second. Slide.
You can just play it on my laptop. No? Yeah, I can bring my laptop.
Told you so.
Uh,
Can't. Yeah, that's not really good. Oh,
Evet,
yeah.
güzel.
Biraz önce
Hı,
çalışma.
okay.
Play for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about play for you. Hold on.
Hı.
Can you listen? Yeah. There we go.
You gonna play? Yeah, you play.
He should choose the difficult path. God's commandments, taming the wild horse, might, discipline. When you are praying, this is discipline. Did you see Amir praying?
Yeah, I did.
Actually standing still for about 5 minutes. I mean, that's a miracle. And he is rewarded generously for that. This is discipline. I mean, at his age, I'd be running around all over the place, jumping up and down.
You can't hear it? Okay. So, what was it for? Okay. So, yeah, based on what you heard, this is the messenger of the covenant defines the difficult path. It's discipline, and when we have discipline, it means that we're sure and we believe in our goal, and also we're consistent, and no matter how many difficulties or ups and downs are on our way, we're going forward to gain to reach to our goal. And we read in 3:200, O you who believe, you shall be steadfast, you shall persevere, you shall be united, you shall observe God that you may succeed. So I wish I had more time to talk about being united, but just I want to say that we should be united. And the reason is that because when we are together, we can remind each other, and it's easier to stay focused on our goal and stay fast and go forward. So I don't go to it more than that. And I want to just read Surah 90 one time. Inshallah, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, I solemnly swear by the town where you live, the beginning and the begotten. We created the human being to work hard to redeem himself. Does he think that no one will ever call him to account? He boasts, I spent so much money. Does he think that no one sees him? Did we not give him 2 eyes, a tongue, and 2 lips? Did we not show him the 2 paths? He should choose the difficult path. Which one is the difficult path? The freeing of slaves, feeding during the time of hardship, orphans who are related, or the poor who is in need. and being one of those who believe, and exhorting one another to be steadfast, and exhorting one another to be kind. These have deserved happiness. As for those who disbelieved in our revelations, they have incurred misery. They will be confined in the hellfire. So as you see, we have to my point, all of the slides and everything that I said, we have to really believe in what we want to gain, and be consistent and never give up, and push each other forward. And because we know the majority of believers destined for hell, and this is the truth. And if you don't want to be with the losers in that trash can, we should work hard, and that's it. Sorry for
Right, excellent, mashallah. We've got time just for two questions. If anyone has a question, just two questions. Just as we are running out of time.
Assalamu alaikum, Kiana. Very great speech.
Really? You want to ask this?
I have yeah, I think to establish your habit, like the habit has to be tied to a very strong why or purpose. Otherwise, you might be motivated for like a week and then something might come up and you might, kill that new habit that you're trying to establish. So my question is, what do you do to stay motivated to, persevere and continue with this new habit that you're trying to establish?
Are you talking about submission?
Yes.
I mean,
And any new habit that you're trying to establish in your submission to God.
I think there is only one answer to this question, is that it all goes back to your soul. If you're a true believer, you really want to, you know, being steadfast means that if we know that we have only two alternatives. We either choose God, or whatever else that we choose, it comes from Satan. So if we really want God and we want to get redeemed, and nothing else is important to us, we're eager to learn what we should do to reach to that point. So I think it all goes back to your soul quality. If you're a true believer, um, and you hear the message, you really want it, and you're ready to do whatever you can to be a winner. And I think being with the believers also is a very good help, because whenever Satan makes us disappointed, we can talk to others and they can remind us, and we can again go back on track. This is how I see it. No, it was not.
Just because I know who you are, and just because you've gone through the difficult path. So I just because I know your background and where you came from, Iran, and your family, and learning English, you've done a lot. So what's the most difficult thing that it's been for you for submission? What's the most difficult? Because like I said, I know your background. You've had such a struggle, but you've come through really well. So
Mashallah, I think
Being patient with
the
us.
most I think my biggest thing that I'm struggling with a lot is objection. I somehow I mean I can fix I see progress in many aspects of my life, mashallah, by God's grace, even a little bit, but I still object a lot, and I think this is something that even if you don't say it, you show it somehow with, I mean, even you think that something is not the way that you want, and it bothers you. This is something that struggling with still a lot. So yeah. Nice.
One was amazing speech, mashallah. I think we can all relate to a certain degree. But moving on, we have our third speech of the day. Everyone, give us up for Pastor.
I want to say before Parsa starts, Parsa did a great job, guys. Did you guys know that Parsa started and finished and sent his slides in Google Slides to us? So you know what that means? That means your links will work and your clicky things will work and your sounds will play. That's what that means. So if you start and send me your stuff in Keynote, it might break. In fact, it will break. Anyway, just wanted to give that announcement. Good job, Parsa.
I don't know what that was about. But okay, Assalamualaikum. Uh, wow, a lot of people not really used to it. I was gonna ask for a show of hands for who's striven in the past week, but mashallah, all of you are here, so I don't think you're gonna do that. But I just want to talk about my speech, which is not up there. Closer to mine. Okay. Okay. Striving the cause of God. Mashallah, Anas and Q gave similar speeches, but hopefully I give a US type beat. Um, what is striving? So the literal definition is to devote your serious energy and effort, probably towards something in most cases. And in the Quran, there's a couple of verses that I like that explain it pretty good. 29:6, those who strive for their own good. I was wrong. Sorry. Those who strive for their own good. God is in no need for anyone. This is really beautiful because it explains that like God does not need you at all. You know, like everything you want to do, you have to do for yourself. You got to grab it. Um, you really want to milk all the chances you have for yourself. And 988, true believers are eager to strive. As for the messenger and those who believed with them, they eagerly strive with their money and their lives. These have deserved all these have deserved all the good things. They are the winners. Mashallah, God even says winners, so that means there's like an opposite to this, the failures, the losers. And mashallah, we have the message, so really need to take action and really understand what it means to truly strive. Um, Now, I just want to get into worldly examples of striving. So these are a couple of people that I know pretty well from just over the years. Not personally, but of course, for just knowing. Um, but first up, we got Ronaldo, like CR7, the main dog, especially here in London, Man U. But he really like strove to be the best, like he was the first one on the field, last one to leave. He dedicated all this time and energy to his sport. Same thing with Kobe Bryant. Me and my dad always watched the Lakers. I didn't know what was happening, but I liked it. And he had a really crazy work ethic. He in the speech in the YouTube video, you don't have to pull it up, but he was talking about how the amount of time he's practiced that in 5 years he was on a different level than everybody else. And this is like not like amateur, this is professionals. We can relate that to submission. The amount of time, the more time we spend on our submission, the different levels we will receive, the higher in rank in the sight of God. Mashallah. Next, what is striving for God? So this is what we care about. We don't really care about, well, we kind of care about soccer and my dad, but um, for God, this is the real meaning of this life. It's up to you how much your soul will real. Nobody can take your tests for you. Nobody can cheat for you. It's up to you. You have to do it yourself. And this is just really important that you understand this because if you don't take this chance in this life, you won't get another one. This is the final chance. Uh, I just want to read this verse 6, 158 requirements of the test. Are they waiting for the angels to come to them or your Lord or some physical manifestations of your Lord? The day this happens, no soul will benefit from believing if it did not believe before that. and did not reap the benefits of belief by leading a righteous life. Say, keep on waiting, we too are waiting. The footnote says, after believing, the soul must grow and develop to the worship practices prescribed by God. Mashallah, this verse is like really clear with saying that if you did not believe beforehand, then there's no benefit in believing in your last moments. Just like Pharaoh, he was a true believer at the time of death, but all the gross sins and interactions he's had before, it just nullified all his works. Here are some examples. I'm not going to get too deep. I just want to read these verses real quick, inshallah. This is charity. You know, a lot of people do charity in here, I hope, inshallah. And I just want to read these verses. God is the only one who guides. 272. You are not responsible for guiding anyone. God is the one who guides whoever I think it says he chooses. I don't know. I think I imported it wrong. To be guided. Any charity you give is for your own good. Any charity you give shall be for the sake of God. Any charity you give will be repaid to you without the least injustice. Charity shall go to the poor who are suffering in the cause of God and cannot emigrate. The unaware may think that they are rich due to their dignity, but you can recognize them by certain signs. They never beg from the people persistently. Whatever charity you give, God is fully aware thereof. Now, I feel like this is the most important one out of these three. Those who give to charity night and day, secretly and publicly, receive their recompense from their Lord. They will have nothing to fear nor the grief. You can see, like, with giving charity, like your acts will be repaid to you. Let's say, for example, I give a homeless person on the street like $5. I might not get that $5 back. It's gone. It's his money now, but I can see the benefits I reap. For example, the same day I give money to a homeless person, I might, get a new car. No, no, I was just an example. I was just an example. Um, Another way you can strive, mashallah, this guy's really good at it. Spreading the message. Uh, I did not know there was like a place in the Quran for this until I searched it up, but mashallah there is. How to spread God's message, 16:125. You shall invite to the path of your Lord with wisdom and kind enlightenment, and debate with them in the best possible manner. Your Lord knows best who has strayed from his path, and he knows best who are the guided ones. We know that not everyone is destined to be a Semitic. You can really tell when you talk to someone, they're like shunned from society, they're being like someone's parents or like spouses or siblings. You can really tell, it's instant. But if you see someone like willing to believe, willing to hear what you have to say, uh, you're, you're, uh, yeah. God's religion will prevail, inshallah. I don't know where I was going with that. Um, some little subsections, mashallah. Q gave some really good things about going out of your comfort zone. But I just want to talk about this. Quran studies, inshallah, I'll do better, but actually participating in them and not just sitting there on your phone. But, like, just like being attentive, being a part of your community, not just being present, is not good enough. Because even for me, I feel like I can do better, inshallah. Listening to audios, if you have a little confusion about what you might have, you can just search up. Like, I asked Sarah, or you can ask Sarah. I don't know where she is. She could probably find out some audios if you have confusion on certain topics. Um, Giving speeches, mashallah, coming here, I'm not really that into public speaking, but praise God, it's going not that bad right now. Um, and giving sermons, inshallah, in the future, and teachings. This allows you to think more about God. You have to put time into your speech sometimes, and then uh, now, though, like that's what happens. Or that's the good side. Now, this is what happens when you don't strive, the bad effects. You become one of the sedentary. So this is for the believing people what happens when you don't strive. 495, Ashkan Zarif in the London study on Friday talked about this verse, so it was good. Higher ranks for the strivers. 495, not equal are the sedentary among the believers who are not handicapped, and those who strive in the cause of God with their money and their lives. God exalts the strivers with their money and their lives above the sedentary. For both God promises salvations, but God exalts the strivers over the sedentary with a great recompense. You can see that God clearly states that if you strive, you are better. You're higher than the sedentary. The more you strive, the better it is for you. If you don't strive, you're just going through the motions. Like Satan can claim you just like this guy's not being like compassionate towards your religion. This guy's not actually trying. Uh, Now that's for the believers. Now for the disbeliever, it gets pretty bad. Allegorical description of hell 456. Surely those who disbelieve in our revelations, we will condemn them to the hellfire. Whenever their skins are burnt, we will give them new skins, thus they will suffer continuously. God is Almighty, most wise. This is like not good at all. Like if you get like a third-degree burn once, it's gonna suck. And imagine just like being burned alive to the bone, getting new skin, and again. And then 750, the dwellers of hell, you like that one, Pyle? The dwellers of hell will call on the dwellers of paradise. Let some of your water or some of God's provisions to you flow towards us. They will say, God has forbidden them for the disbeliever. They will, yeah, this is just, they're like begging the people of paradise, please, like, give us something. Like, imagine day by day, eternally, just burning and, like, I don't know, just not feeling good. And then, like, God gives them no grace. They failed their last chance, which is this world. Wow. I don't know. Now, so why you should strive? Like, okay, that's great, part. So you said all this. Now, why? Like, what's the end goal here? Um, you need to set your priorities straight. Why? Why? Like, why am I here, standing here right now? I'm striving, mashallah. I want to get closer to God. Uh, you want to set a good example. I don't think there's any kids in here, actually. Oh, they're over there. Oh, Assalamu alaikum. Good luck. And then, so I just want to read a couple of verses. Uh, Good News 9:20. Those who believe and emigrate and strive in the cause of God with their money and their lives are far greater in rank in the sight of God. These are the winners. Again, God's saying that the strivers are better. And 2:110, you shall observe the contact prayer salah and give the obligatory charities zakat. Any good you send forth on behalf of your souls, you will find it at God. God is seer of everything you do. This is just a little thing I want to say. Like in school, for example, let's say I cheat for a test. No one sees that. If I'm good at cheating, but God will see if you cheat your test. He will know. And also, if you like do all this studying and you don't get a good grade on your final exam, the teacher won't know how much work you put in, right? But God will know. God will know how much you tried. So it's just really important to remember that. Just do your best, and inshallah, everything will turn out good for you. Now, to wrap it all up, a little pun right here. I invite all of you to reflect on what I've just said. What Anna said, what Q just said about striving, reaping benefits of this life and in the hereafter. This is a commitment that you need to uphold for the rest of your life. It's not just like, oh, I might do this next time, next year. Mashallah, my mom really encouraged me to give this speech, so praise God. It's about the conscious decisions you make throughout your day, throughout every day, and inshallah, we do our best in this life to reap the true benefits of submission and do our best to strive in the cause of God. Assalamu alaikum.
I think one of those. But yeah, we're gonna take some questions.
Just take it easy.
Great, Simon.
like
Great job. You know, it's just wonderful to see you kids grow up and give such wonderful, meaningful speeches, mashallah. I mean, we've known you guys for many years. Praise God. Back to the video games. For your generation, for your group of people. I know I'm not giving up on that one, but God knows how many times I go to the room and say, hey, you should use this time. But so back to the video games, I'm wondering, how do you think? Because it's good for us to, you know, we like to do certain things, right? For you guys, it's video games. So I'm thinking, how do you think you can use that time while you're playing your video games towards striving in the cause of God? Is there a way you can do that? Because I think if we take every moment, everything that we do in our lives somehow, and turn it into a strive or turn it into, then it will benefit us.
Yeah.
So obviously, every parent's concern is to have their kids make sure that their kids are using their time here on this earth. You know, the importance of this life, right?
Yeah.
To use it to benefit their hereafter. So how do you think you can tie in your video games to it?
I don't really know, to be honest. But I could give an example. I don't know if it's really striving, but it's more like remembering God. Like if I like say I get like a really good game in Call of Duty, I'd be like, mashallah, like that was really good. Yeah. Not exactly like that, but I'd be like, mashallah, like when I play for Shane, I was like, mashallah, I did better than you. You know, oh yeah, that's well, honestly, competing righteousness, you know. I was trying to be yeah, yeah, but honestly, for striving. Challenger. For striving, uh, honestly, video games is not really like the best for striving because it really takes up like 80% of your mind to like actually do something in the video game. But like for example, like you could just put like instinctively just like mashallah, like praise God, like I did good, and like with Shan, I'm like I don't know, I just play with him a lot. No, like we do, and then Zach, he's not here unfortunately, but Zach is also he like reminds us and stuff. And, oh yeah, and when we play with these older guys, it's like it's not that much better. It's oh not no no no. I was just looking at LP throughout my speech, and my mom just said LP. It's not just him. There's also several other people that play. Yeah. So- but yeah, it's like it's fun, you know, and I don't know, I don't know.
Got a solution. Let's make a submission game. No more Call of Duty, no more FIFA, submission. No, so basically, you play you. I'm pitching. So you play you, and then just like walking on the street like there's video characters, and then you see a homeless man. As soon as you see a homeless man, you get two options: give charity, keep walking. And then I'll try to pick the righteous one, do an entire day, and see how righteous you are. And your aim is to get better and better
You
each
get a
time.
car after that too?
And then you get a car. Include me in the package, please.
Okay, we do have a hand up. I do want to make, so I was going to do on the last one. I really liked what you said, and I think this is relevant to all of us. You used the analogy of being at school and studying and like for a project and handing it in,
Yeah.
and then the teacher not giving you the grade, but then doing the same in your submission in, really putting in the effort, really, trying your best and maybe failing. But God knows the effort that you put in. So I thought that was a really good reminder, especially for the young ones as well, for all of us.
So I was trying to just again. This is my dad. Can anyone else get in on this as well? This charity, then the reward after. Those are very, very good. speech are stuff. From an observational perspective, I have to first of all say, you guys, like you group of friends, Shane, Noah, you, mashallah, the first thing that I notice is just how respectful you guys are, how sweet you have, like your quirkiness, you're funny, like you guys are just so kind and just a joy to be around. And every time you kind of walk past, you want to be like, hey, how are you? To kind of have that moment of conversation. And you guys give everyone that time and respect as well, regardless of age or who someone is within the masjid. I mean, that's obviously the only interaction that I see with you guys. Um, so I guess my question then is that how do you guys kind of keep each other in check, or do you even feel like you have to with one another when it comes to reminders or behavior, or do you feel like you're just all pretty much the same in that sense? So I'm sure reminders must get passed around amongst your generation.
Okay. Some of us, it's like we don't have to do it for everyone. Some of us just don't need it, but we act different around just us than with everyone else. Yeah. It's not in a bad way, just like no hesitation, just yeah, no boundaries, stuff like that. Yeah, in a good way, not like no, in a good way. Yeah, yeah, like we don't like hold back on each other. But it's like for like giving reminders and stuff, like we will do it and we will take heed most of the time, but it's like we don't have like that like inflated egos with each other, like we actually listen to each other, mashallah. So yeah. Mm. I don't know what else to say. So
Did anyone else have a question?
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if that picture up for this question. Well, what is that about?
oh,
Did you crash your car just before coming here?
it's like
My car was hit, but this is I was just making a pun because our community knows about like me driving because of my question. But just like not time to wrap it all up and just like wrapped around the pool. So yeah, yeah. I don't drift. I don't drift. I don't no, I never said drift. I don't know. Yeah. I was gonna have something else, but I didn't. So
no, it's okay. It's okay.
it's just a joke. Don't worry about it. That's not me.
Great striving, fantastic. Great job, yeah. So a big round of applause to yourselves for being here because not everyone was here, but well done for those who strove and got here and supported the speeches from the morning.
Yes.
We have a couple of minutes before we get to the next section, which is the USA community updates. So can I do that thing now?
Yeah.
No. So as we have a couple of minutes, I'm going to use Anas for his eyes. I'm going to get you all to do an activity. Some of the UK community, you've done this, so please don't let others know. But it's just to ensure that you are all awake and are all listening. Yeah, Shireen knows. All right, so to commence, I'm going to ask you to all stand up. So I know a lot of you think I'm just a tour guide in London. No, part-time day job, yeah. So one of my jobs is actually as a team building facilitator. So I get go to conferences and do team building activities with companies, and it's quite hilarious what I put them through. But yes, so if everyone can stand up, I will call you out, Q, if you don't stand up. And who's in the back? Is that Anna? And Natasha. Yeah, I will call you out. No, it's going to take 30 seconds. You can stand up and get involved. Thank you. This is what I do. It's lovely.
This is not else.
Yes, no. Okay, so the next part of this, Anas, I need your eyes because you're taller than me, mashallah. So raise your right arm in the sky, raise your right arm in the sky. Okay, some of you are not awake. Right, not left, right, not left, cue. Right, not left. Right, not left. Okay, and then all together, let's make a circle with our thumb and forefinger. Your thumb and forefinger to make a circle. You need to ensure that you can see me at this point. So if you can't see me, just kind of edge across so you can see me. And then all together, I know that you can all count to 3. So we're going to go around our head with our arm and count 1 until we get to 3. So all together, 1, 2, 3. And then I'd like you to use that little circle that you've made with your thumb and your forefinger looking at me. Then put this on your chin. Yes, yes, fantastic. So if you count, your chin is down here. Then chin is down here.
Cheek was up here. Cheek is there. Even on my chin.
Okay, so this is just going back to.
Oh, I don't know. You're not using lingo. That's a good one.
So going back to Diana spoke about the brain and how the brain works, and it's something that I really love and do like to look into. And it really is something of human trait. Where our eyes are is what we are concentrating on. And you do tend to lose a part of your hearing if your eyes are not looking at the person that's speaking to you. So just some a little bit of an analogy of what's going on here when people stand and giving speeches. So do your best in paying attention. Please take your seats and let's move on.
Round of applause for everyone who knows where their chin is. So Virginia first.
So please do take your seats, quieten down, and let's listen to what's going on in the communities of our brothers and sisters across the pond.
Inshallah, well said, Hanan. First up, we have the Virginia community with Brother Bahram coming up and telling us everything we need to know. What's for Bahram? I just know, Bahram was one of the people who actually put it on their chin. Oh, he was a very much.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Is it on?
Yeah, hi.
Okay. Great to see everybody after all these years. The COVID situation was kind of tough. By the grace of God, we were able to assemble still every time and didn't have to go to homes. The only thing we really did was let's not attract too much attention. And we used to park the cars in a shopping center and keep bringing people in. And our space was not big enough. We tried to actually get a property freestanding that had enough room when we have guests from out of town, they could stay there. And we gave a bid, but God did not will for us to get that. So after a year of haggling with the county, because of, when you have a commercial property, they give you a much more of a hard time to give you permits. So after a year, we were able to get a permit to build an addition to our building and allocate the biggest space within the new area to our masjid by the grace of God. And if everybody squeezed in like you do in San Jose, we think 60 people could fit. But I look at it as an interim step until, inshallah, we get a freestanding building. there are when everybody is in town and attending, I think we have close to 30 people in our community, and we don't have as many kids as you do. Inshallah, more of them will come, and that's about it that I have in terms of an update.
Question mark. I think that's the wrong part. Maybe try lunchtime, don't matter. Next, inshallah, we've got the New York community. We have Delilah and Stephanie. Big round of applause.
Do I have to be on camera for this? Yeah. Am I centering myself? Where's my sign?
Where's that big clock?
I just wanted to let you guys know that we're matching, and we didn't do it on purpose.
Hi. So
Assalamu alaikum. Long story short, New York City went from like 20-ish people to 3. So I will try to keep this concise because honestly, it is quite a long story. A lot of y'all heard it last night, during our chronic study.
should I do it?
You know what? Maybe it is best if you do it.
Okay, so after several years of slow degradation, there was an issue with some Turkish families who joined. They wholeheartedly believe in and follow this myth person from Turkey who's claiming to be a messenger by the name of Burker. And though it seems like the vast majority don't believe in this person, they don't feel that they need to take any stand against them participating in the Juma. And last I spoke to some people from there, the belief now is that as long as they're not promoting or advocating or pushing for this discussion or anything, it's okay. And it seems like the longer we're away from it, they're adopting more and more the mentality of open masjid, and as long as no one's pushing their ideology, it's okay. So we got it.
Bro, there's like much more tea than that. You gave like such a water. That's
That's
like.
not what this is for, though. Come on.
But basically, another thing that's really important to mention though is Naveed was a big part of why our community fell apart. From last night, everybody did know Naveed, but if you're in here and you don't know Naveed, I have lots of dirt on him. I know a lot of other people that also do. He's bad news. If anyone messages you and the name is Naveed, just block the number immediately. Like it's not even worth saying hello back. Um, it's really important because it's a slow degradation, like Stephanie said, when a community falls apart. We had first, people were not coming to Quran study, right? Weak believers. And then all of a sudden this hypocrite comes and says, "Oh, well, we have Quran studies," and now they join all of Navid's Quran studies. Now those are very hypocritical topics that come from Navid's Devil's Playground server comes into our Quran studies. But then it leaked into our sermons, and we were having sermons. Yeah, Isla, we were having sermons that were all about, oh, this is this hadith and this is that hadith, with no sort of recollection as to why they were giving the hadith. There were a lot of sermons about, like, this is the Arabic root of this word, which ended up manipulating what the Quran was actually trying to say. And then the Turkish people came, and it was like, okay, yeah, like, we're done. So.
Wait, to be fair about the hadith, I think they were trying to make a point that like this is why we don't follow hadith. It was just ended up being 70% of the sermon was just reading the hadith. It was just pointless. Yeah.
So long story short, if any of y'all come and visit New York, message me or Stephanie for Jumma, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, ladies, for the update. Lock Navid for Colin. He actually did try to contact me, and I didn't even bother with it. I did actually block he actually fell to that Dubai community as well, and there were the people from there that were talking with him. And then, actually, funnily enough, some of that community who didn't want to talk to Navid were trying to encourage them not to, which was bizarre, but then obviously they thought they were good.
things going on next. Anna?
And last but definitely not least, have the Bay Area, San Jose, and Bahama.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Nice to see you all again today. Hannah, nice to meet you all. I think I've hopefully gotten to say hello to everyone. And if I haven't, I hope I do get to say hello to everybody. But Assalamu alaikum. And just a quick thank you to all of the conference organizers, the tech team, everyone that put effort into making this happen by God's leave. It's been such an amazing time. I, didn't realize how much I missed having conferences. And mashallah, we have a large community in San Jose, but it's different when we all get to come together worldwide, especially, and see each other, get to know each other, hear each other's stories. It's truly a blessing, and I'm so thankful. So again, thank you to everyone who had played a part in that. And then I just wanted to share, I guess, some updates from the San Jose community. I wanted to start off with the babies, but maybe I should start with the marriages and engagements because, one comes before the other. It's a, if I call if I call your name, because I'm going to call everyone out, and you want to stand up, feel free to. But by God's leave, lots of love. Obviously, we are a religious, submitting community first, but also we're pretty good matchmakers, and I would say a baby making factory as well. So thank God for His provisions. And so, okay, so marriages and engagements. We have Elfie and Eileen. And we have Rima and Rod who are not here, but love you guys if you're watching. Where's the camera there? That's the mic. Of course. Lisa and Hassan are also not here. Makan and Rabia. We had Nelly and Ashkan. Amina and Shahram, who are, I think, right here. Yes. Mashallah. Paim and Bushra. Nusha and Wami. And Ashton and Kiana, which I don't know, because last conference was 2019, so I'm pretty sure that they had like some wedding type thing after that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but mashallah to them as well. And then mashallah, we have a lot of babies since the 2019 conference. I guess Omid and I, yes, we got married as well right after the 2019. Always forget about yourself, right? Okay, so Masha, yeah, you just said anything wrong. Okay. We've been married for 8 years, Mom. It wasn't that long ago. Okay, so Lisa and Hassan had Liam. He is so cute, mashallah. All the babies are so cute, and I'm just gonna keep saying that, so you're gonna hear a million times. They're so cute, they're so pretty. Yeah, that's a tough one. Can they all be number one? Okay. And then Ami and Mena had Lila, which you met. They came up and introduced her. Nelly and Ashkan had Nyla. You might see a pattern coming on here with the names. Mashallah. Hossein and Serena had Maximus. Obviously, this is not in order. It was just coming to my mouth. Omid and I had Audrey. Mashallah. Mary and Ashkan had Isla, God's gift. I saw her somewhere. Rod and Rima had Luca and Emil. And mashallah, yes, they have another baby on the way. I have that too. God's gift. Yes, they're coming also. They're coming. Farnak and Human, who are not here, had Levi. Mashallah. Riash and Zeb had Zayn, which you met as well. Ali and Jinus had Emma. That was the day after our wedding, so I'll never forget. Jinus was ready to pop, but God's gift, she held on until the following day, 7 a.m. the next day.
And then Shireen and Kareem, who are also not here, had Musa. Mashallah. So, and then baby's on the way. Arish and Elena she's due the 27th of this month, God willing. And then Lisa and Hassan are also having another baby boy, God willing, and they're due, I think, mid-September, September 15th, I believe. Yeah. So God's gift. And I mentioned Rima and Rada. Yeah, they have another one on the way. I'm not sure what their due date is, but November. Oh, January. Cute. You got to get the info from the grandma, okay? Okay, God's gift. Lots of beautiful gifts from God, news and everything. We had some gatherings as well in San Jose. We had some beach days. We had a Great America Day. For those of you who don't know, it's an amusement park in Santa Clara. Awesome. And we've had some park outings and barbecues. So I feel like, am I good on just quickly? Okay. And then I just wanted to say, so mashallah, thank God for all these gifts, all these blessings upon us in our community. And I believe that, as we continue to grow in our numbers, all of you have tuned in, mashallah, to our Discord a lot, and you've been along the way these past 4 years, and you've heard our discussions and, conversations, and sometimes, passions arise, but over this time, I really believe that God has strengthened our community. God tells us through his messenger of the covenant that in our community, we're tested by one another. We're purified by one another, right? And at the end of the day, we all love each other. We're one real family, mashallah. And and like the real family, I mean, Noah and Shane could probably attest to this. Sometimes, we can get on each other's nerves. Sometimes we can step on each other's toes. But at the end of the day, we love each other. And what really unites us, obviously, is our belief and our love for God. And I truly feel that over this past year, that we have become even a stronger bricks in one wall. If that makes sense. Like, mashallah. So thank God for you keeping us united, keeping us strong, and for allowing us all to be here together. It's truly a blessing. Love you all. Thanks for listening to me.
With the help from the San Jose communities, I also know that you've got really great striving characters that are writing books for children. They're also crosswords. And so Mariam Hill has got a word search, and it's fantastic. Me and my daughter were looking at it. So please see Mariam and Mehri writing some short stories. So please do contact them to get more information, because it's great for kids and adults alike.
Also, on to the USA communities. Big round of applause. So, I'm going to make you guys clap a lot today, so just make sure your hands are light well and clean and soft and yeah. Alright, moving on. We are going back to some speeches, and we have Ali Reza.
These teachers talk about how to give $5 and get in a car.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah. I'm not starting. Okay. Salam alaikum, everyone. My name is Ali Reza Ganbari, and I go by Ali Reza and Ali Reza. So, yeah. Ali G as well. Yeah, a lot of names. I was known by Ali Raza all my life till I came to the United States, and I found out that I came back to the United States, and I found out that everybody here wants to shorten things, and I said, well, I'm Ali, you know. And then I started working in Ali Agha's company, and there was a senior Ali, so I went by Reza. So half of you know me by Reza, and then the other half something else. But anyways, um, I'm talking about remembering God all the times, inshallah. This is a subject that has been on my mind for a long time. From early times of submission, I got the message through Ali Agha. And I remember one of the first verses that I was reading. I don't know if we talked about it together, or I was just opening up Quran and this came along. 39:45, Auzubillah minash shaitanir rajim. The greatest criterion. When God alone is mentioned, the hearts of those who do not believe in the hereafter shrink with aversion. But when others are mentioned beside him, they become satisfied. So um, I brought this verse up because this was the start of it all for me. I started doing some research about this verse. I was always into religion and Shiaism and going to the mosque and the different activities in Iran. And I grew up as a religious person, traditional Muslim. But I always thought that there's something missing. And this remembrance of God was something that I was, trying to remember God throughout my life. But it was different because we were supposed to remember the Shia imams, or other saints or whatever, like Reza, Imam Reza, or which was the hometown buried, person, or the imam, the eighth imam of Shias in my hometown, Mashhad. And I always had this struggle of, remembering God, or remember Reza, or remember Mahdi, or remember this guy. Shia is so strong about that. But anyways, as I got the message the first time, it's like worship God alone. I said to myself, this is it. This is it. This message is the one that I'm going with. And I got my word. Now it took me a while to came to senses about messenger. It's himself, because again, the Shiaism, it was this notion of the Prophet Muhammad and all the imams was so great for me that I couldn't accept someone else beside him. Anyways, about 3 years passed, from 2014, 15 to 2017. And one day I was sitting down. I remember I said, well, you believe in whatever the messenger of God covenant is telling you. Believe in God alone. Worship God alone. Just seek God. Just ask God. And then you're telling yourself that this person is a liar. Either he lies about all of this, because if he's not a messenger, is he lying about that, or he doesn't. And I told myself everything he says is correct, and I believe in whatever he says. So he's not a liar. So he's just messenger, just a messenger of God, and he brings God's message. That's all. Let me read this verse to you, inshallah. 591. The devil wants to provoke animosity and hatred among you through intoxicants and gambling, and to distract you from remembering God and from observing the contact prayer salat when you refrain. There's these verses afterwards. Divine law. I just want to read 64:15. Your money and children are a test, and God possesses a great recompense. So, as I grew into submission, this matter of we just had our first son, Parsa, as firstborn Parsa, as you heard his speech a few minutes ago. When we becoming submitter, just so he was maybe a few months old, and the baby came and the life changed, and I was getting into my work professionally more, um, and trying to remember God all the times. And as I grew into my work, this notion of work and life, and then remembering God and coming to masjid and being with the submitters and balancing all these out has been in a struggle. I'm telling you, even to this day, it's no joke. You want to attend to your work, you want to attend to your family, you want to make sure everything is on its place. I mean, in the beginning, you think you have control on all of these, and then as you go, you grow older, and then you went into submission more. It's like you don't have control over nothing. You did not you or your nor your children nor your work, nothing. Um, and then God controls all the provisions. He controls the provisions. I'm not the bread earner, basically. God is the one that who brings food to my family's plate. God controls all provisions. I just want to read the 13:28. They are the ones whose hearts rejoice in remembering God. Absolutely, by remembering God, the hearts rejoice. And then God says that I'm the one that who controls everything. I'm the one that who bring food to your table. So don't worry. And to this day, I do worry. I'm telling you guys, it's been one of my biggest struggles. Uh, Now it's interesting when we're here. We're amongst submitters. We're our 24/7 out of 24/7. Maybe we sleep 6 hours, 5 hours. The rest of it we're together. It's easy to remember God. It's not too hard. Um, my struggle is when I'm going back to work. So this is what I do. These are my crews and my guys basically. We do plumbing, we do AC work. And you're in the middle of something you want to fix a problem. My sermons usually is about work or somehow related to work and family, but it has been my struggle. So you're in the middle of something you can't even think about submission. Maybe I mean in my case it's the line is leaking, the floor is flooding. You want to fix it right away, but I have to remember God in those moments because nothing but God can help me. I gave a sermon a few months back, and I was telling about an instance that we were having at 2 a.m. in the morning. So um, about 2:30 a.m. we started something about I don't know 10 p.m. or something. At 2 a.m. We faced a problem that we couldn't fix, and the line has to be back in action by 6 a.m. I didn't know what to do. So I haven't done my night prayer by that time. I said, you know what, I gotta go do my night prayer. And I was thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. And I was pushing it back because we were in the middle of it. The steam was coming. Anyways, it was a very hard situation. And then I just said, you know what? I don't care. I gotta do my night prayer. So I went outside, did my night prayer, and I just asked God, you're the only one who can help. You're the only one who can help. And as soon as I came back to the basement, the problem was solved. I didn't even have to be there to problem to be solved. The guys took care of it, but basically God took care of it. So those are the moments, and we all practice and we all do everything for those moments because again, it's easy for here to remember God. But those moments when you're talking about for instance, a situation to another submitter, or you're at your work, or you're talking to a customer, or you're thinking about a client, those are the moments that we have to remember God. And what comes with all this is practice, practice, practice. Why God is telling us to do namaz? I mean, we're just increasing our limit, increasing our capacity. Our soul is growing, so in those moments, we can, remember God. So most of you, or a lot of you, are tech workers, or you work in an office. You don't get your hands dirty like me, but yay, remember God when you're coding, or you're writing something. It's not easy, I know, because my wife, in a previous life, she was a coder. Now she's a construction manager as me, just like me, I guess. But she was a coder as well, and she showed me some of the programs that they were facing, and I wrote some codes like Turbo C++ back in the days, or whatever, Fortran or something, the previous generation of coding. But I remember like a little comma could have just jeopardized the whole like 7-page long program. So those are the moments to ask God, because God will help you. It's not you who writing, is God that is writing. And the next one. So this is also a big struggle for a lot of us. Kids. Either we love them, or we get or we don't hate them, but we get frustrated. we love our kids, but we get frustrated. I still do sometimes, and I raise my voice sometimes, and my kids are here. I guess yes, they're there right now. There you go. So, those are the moments that I have to remember God can control these two rascals, and He can bring him back to in line. It's not me, you know. And I keep thinking that I can teach him new stuff, and I can be quote unquote a parent, but just remember God is in full control. Um, yeah, kids are asleep. Freedom, you know. This is one of the first. Oh, we're good? Okay. So this is the first conference that both of our kids are on their own. I mean, my son has been on his own for a while, but Varan has found his crew, I guess, you know, so we had a chance to go out and there's like let me read you some verses from Bible, Deuteronomy 8:18. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who is giving you power to make wealth, that He may confirm His covenant, which He swore to your fathers, as it is this day. And then Proverbs 3:6-16. Remember the Lord in everything you do, and He will show you the right way. Never let yourself think that you are wiser than you are. Simply obey the Lord and refuse to do wrong. If you do, it will be like good medicine, healing your wounds and easing your pains. And okay, this is the one I just wrote. And then this one, uh, those who possess intelligence. So God calls the ones that who remember God, the ones that who possess intelligence. So these are some verses. I want to go through the middle one. 3:191. They remember God while standing, sitting, and on their sides. And they reflect upon the creation of the heavens and the earth. Our Lord, you did not create all these in vain, this in vain. Be glorified, save us from the retribution of hell. And then one of the footnotes reads, Your God is whoever and whatever occupies your mind most of the time. And we all know about this. The true believers are those who remember God most of the times. Contact prayers is one of the very good ways to remember God all the times. Um, I don't want to read all of these because most of you know these, you know, by heart. Your God is whoever and whatever occupies your mind most of the day in order to belong in God's kingdom and enjoy His grace and protection. The Quran exhorts to remember God always, and it goes to show you some verses. So Appendix 27, as we all know, talks about, you know, who is your God, and then tells us a few ways that God recommends, you know, to remember God through it. Our contact prayers, commemorating before eating, saying Bismillah, saying God willing, Inshallah. So Bismillah, Inshallah, and MashaAllah, we all know about it, but we don't do it all the times. Or a lot of times we do it unconsciously. We just say it because we just, you know, it comes out. So if we can think about it, you know, if we can say it consciously, trying to think and say it consciously definitely is it's much more effective, I think. And then the first utterance, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, La ilaha illallah, as soon as you wake up. Important criterion, proclaim, 924. If your parents, your children, your siblings, your spouses, your family, the money you have earned, a business you worry about, and the homes you cherish are more beloved to you than God and His messenger and the striving in His cause, then just wait until God brings His judgment. God does not guide the wicked people. So uh, I have owned my business for the past maybe 5, 6 years, and this past 5, 6 years has been even more difficult because now I'm involved in everything. You know, some of you guys that you're doing your own thing. Um, it's different. It's just different. I mean, you work for someone else is different than what you do for yourself. But it's just hard. It's just hard because you're always in. Right now, you know, I'm in. kind of vacation mode for my work, but I'm always on the phone. Most of you guys are anyways, but we all have to remember God. The other day we were walking in London, in one of the tube station, as they call it here, subways or metros as we call it, or subways as we call it over there. And we were walking up the stairs with brother Ali Bazi. He's here too, isn't he? He's not. He's upstairs. So I can say whatever I want. Yeah, because it's just I can tell the story in my way. So this is not the actual picture of that subway, but it had this huge column. So I've been in construction most of my career, so I've seen some big columns and big structure stuff. But anyways, this suddenly we were going up the escalator and this huge structure column just struck me, and I was like, wow, look at this, Ali. You see how mighty this is. And subhanallah, that this column is holding this whole station, or a couple of columns is holding the station. And he told me, you know what? Have you been to Egypt? I said, no, I've been to Persepolis. This is in Iran. That one is in Egypt. And he said, when I was walking through, the columns of that palace, I guess, I don't, Palace of Karnak. That the day? Okay, Palace of Karnak. I was mesmerized, and I was like, God, they built these 3, 4 thousand years ago, and all of those might and glory and power that they put to this, and they build the pyramids with millions of stone pieces that they're each of them is like maybe a third of this room or bigger. How did they do that? How mighty they were, back then. How much power they have. And and you know what happened? And we were talking about this, and it reminded me of Moses. It's like he remembered God when it counted. He remembered God when he was in front of the most powerful human being on earth. That guy could have just said like, this, and they would just slaughter him right in front of everybody. And after that, he was a messenger of God, so he was chosen. But then those magicians, I mean, every time they read that story, I cringe. I get cringe. The ones that who recognize the truth, those experts, and they came out and said, you know what? Cut our hand, our feet. We don't care. We found the truth. So how much this message can be important, and how remembering God can help you, to basically become even more powerful than the most powerful man on earth. I mean, these days we don't have that kind of a person that who can say, "I'm God," and a nation or one of the biggest nation in the world. They don't even dare to say anything else. But back then, half of the world belonged to this guy, and half of the world belonged to another person. And then someone comes to him and says, "Messenger of God," and he says, "You know what? You're not correct. You're going down." And he was actually brought up in his house. And then those experts, those magicians they were not believers before, but they became believers because they saw the truth. The truth was recognized by the experts. And it says, um, and they said, you know what? Go ahead, cut off your hand. We don't care. So we have to try to remember God in those moments. And how? How to do that is just by those practices. Practice, 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 practice. I think we're almost at the end of my time here. So no, no, not yet, not yet. Quranic study group. So um, we have to do whatever God tells us to do. We have to try to be with each other as much as possible, because this is the reminder that we get. I have work, other friends or colleagues or whatever that we hang out once in a while. But every time I'm with you guys, that's the time I remember God. I mean, in those moments, it's not that we keep reminding ourselves. And we have to strive. We have to strive. This is our picture coming up. That's it. Just be with each other. Look, when we are with each other and we're not sleeping, we are remembering God. What else we're doing? So thank God for all of you guys, and I pray to God for remembering Him all the times for all of us. Inshallah. This is it. Thanks.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. So we are going to do a quick Q&A session. Does anyone have any questions?
Inshallah, brother. I think that this is really one of the, or this the greatest topic, really, I think, to us submitters, which is just for us to know and understand the fact that your God is whoever or whatever by your mind is the time. And for me, it's not really a question, it's just to appreciate really God for sending us his message of the covenant, because a lot of people have been reading the Quran, but they don't understand still this concept. And for us really to be blessed and understand that, it's really something that is great. It feels to be very, very good. So just again, thank you for bringing this up.
Sure, mashallah. Very good comment. I just want to say something quickly. Um, I've been exposed to different views of Islam, before, as I mentioned to you. And as soon as I heard somebody saying God alone, that was it for me. God alone. This is the message. The message is the key. And this message actually came through the messenger of the covenant, but the message is the key. And if you're giving the message to someone else and you say God alone, if they're to be guided, they will be. I mean, it maybe takes them 10 years. My own brother, it took him maybe 10, 12 years to come to the path. As soon as I gave him the message, that was the start of it all. And the message is God alone, or worship God alone. Thank you so much.
Masha Ali, great speech. I do have one question regarding um, your experience owning a business, because you mentioned that it's really, really difficult and really hard. And I'm wondering about your thoughts and experience running a business as a submitter, because we understand that for believers, God makes everything easy. So whether you work for someone or you own a business or run a company, no matter how complex the problem is, it's always going to be easy if you reverence God and move under Him. So I'm just curious if you can help about that part.
Great question. So I think for me, owning a business was a great purification, a great purification for me, because as God says, He will bring out your weaknesses, puts it in your face, and wants you to fix it. And this, for me, the matter of provisions and matter of dealing with other people and putting some power in anybody else but God definitely has been my problem. And when I was working for other people, it was easier for me maybe because I changed a couple of companies, or multiple companies throughout my career. So if, for instance, this never happened, but for instance, if they would have told me, "Oh, we can't let you do your Friday prayer from this week," I would have just left. Well, so I go work for someone else. But when I'm owning my business, I can't work for someone else, and I have to do my Friday prayer. I gotta leave at 12:30, for instance, or 1 o'clock. I mean, no, sorry, 11 o'clock if I'm further away, whatever. And in the middle of, a steam leak or a plumbing issue or whatever. So that's the time. And, or even harder is the money factor, because now you have to pay your employees. Now you have to get money from people. And before I didn't care about these. I mean, I just managed the issues, and there were some other people in the background, doing all that. So I think owning a business for me was more than anything a purification. I'm still through it. I'm still through it. But every time, if a problem took a year or if a problem took a minute, as I was explaining to you, that night, if I remember God and I wholeheartedly believed in God is going to fix it, that solved the issue. But if I wasn't wholehearted at that time, it didn't. Even I was asking God, but I wasn't fully trusted in God, it didn't solve the issue. Till I trusted in God fully, and it did solve the issue. So, mashallah.
Uh, Nagami Masha, thank you so much for really fantastic speech. And you mentioned something, I want to get your perspective on this. It's like you mentioned how you've worked construction like for like all your life. And when you go to these like like old, short, old movies are. It really reflects this, like, recognize, okay, this is difficult to make. What are like some ways you try to like apply like what you do in your daily life, your career, to like reflect on like how God lets people like do things like to create like a column itself, or even like a Roman aqueduct. How do you apply your career? Like, really reflect, because you're an expert on this, much like the magicians.
So I think in everything, uh, like construction, like the most important thing is the structure, the basics. All it comes all back to the basics. So I keep reminding myself, if you set the footing correct, if you set your life correct, and you can build on it. And that has been something that I do reflect on. So every time I go and there is a problem in the building, even plumbing problems, which you think, oh, there's no structural issues. No, it goes back to the ground. It goes back to the ground. Did they set the pipe in a correct location? Um, it's funny because I have some pictures I can show you later. When we do plumbing, underground plumbing, we have to set some pipes for later on that they come back and build the walls over it. So you do string some lines and you bring up some pipes through the walls, so-called walls. You don't see the walls. You have to do it very correctly. So later on, that they build the wall, the pipe is not coming out of the wall. And that has been an issue. That has been the case. Sometimes you have to break the wall, you have to break the structure to fix the issue. And so I think you have to set the foot straight. Do it correct from the beginning. So and then that's if you want to relate it to our religion, it's like, uh, do the things correctly, do the basics correctly, so you can build on top of that.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Any other questions? Okay, a big round of applause.
Thank you.
MashaAllah. Big breath.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are running a little ahead of time, which is great, mashallah. But we are going to move on to our next speaker.
Could I please get Nathan? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Nathan. I'm from the San Jose community. Nice to have you all here. And oh, we only have to. That's it. Oh, thank you. First of all, before I start my speech, I want to say thank you to you guys and everyone who helped organize this. I've only been to Scotland. This is my second time. It's a beautiful country. We're blessed to be here and see it and experience it and be all together here. So thank you to Bushra and Payam and everyone else who helped to organize this. I think it's a great opportunity for us to do something a little different than what we usually do. So I appreciate it. All right, so I'm using this thing, huh? All right, so my speech is about vision and illusion. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's something I use for myself as a reminder of God throughout the day. And I tried to get it captured in 20-minute speech, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're going to start with something maybe some of the older folks will remember in this room. What do you see? Can you guys see anything in this? Is it too hard to see because it's huge? Shout it out. Anyone see anything? What did you say? No. It's not it. You see it? There might be a hand in there. You relax your eyes. Try to look through the picture. Yeah, three monkeys that see no evil, hear no evil, do no evil. You should be able to see it. Anyway, I can send it to you guys later. Thought this would work a lot better, but okay. It's called magic eye. You blur your eyes, you sort of look through the picture, and you'll see a 3D image pop up, which is an illusion. It's something that you look at this picture, it looks like a bunch of scrambled stuff, but brain and eyes can, if you know what to look for and how to do it, you can start to see something that might not be there for everyone else, which is kind of partly what my speech is about. So I'm going to I kind of formulated a hypothesis in my head of what I think our vision and our brains do. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about that. And then I'll talk a little bit about how amazing our eyes are and how our brains work to create our visual system. And then I'm going to talk about something called the allegory of the cave. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. I hadn't heard of it before, but I researched it and I think it's an interesting tie into submission. And then we'll see if my hypothesis is correct. All right, so let's start with a verse. I seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Okay, so preoccupation with this life condemned. 57:20. Know that this worldly life is no more than play and games, and boasting among you, and hoarding of money and children. It is like the abundant rain that produces plants and pleases the disbelievers. But then the plants turn into useless hay and are blown away by the wind. In the hereafter, there is either severe retribution or forgiveness from God and approval. This worldly life is no more than a temporary illusion. So, in the Quran, God tells us many times that He's given us hearing, brains, eyesight to use in this world. But my question here is, can it also be used against us? Can those things be used to kind of further the illusion? So my hypothesis is that our visual system is designed by God to produce and enhance the temporary illusion. And then we're going to just kind of go through it and prove if this is correct or incorrect understanding. All right. So first things first, our visual system. It's amazing. It's designed by God, obviously, but He wants to. Did He design it to support the illusion of this world? So first things first is this is Natalia. Where's Natalia? Did she leave the room? Oh man, Natalia. All right. I told her I was going to use a picture of her, and she got embarrassed. Maybe that's why. All right. So early development of the eye. I'm going to just talk about because I think the eye is an amazing structure within our body, and it begins to develop when we're 3 weeks old. That's when the first stages of your visual system begin to develop. When you're 3 weeks old, as an embryo in your mother's womb. So the lens starts to form, which is kind of controls how light enters your eye and gets refracted in your eye, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And the retina, which is the back part of your eye that interprets color and light, shades of dark and light. And the optic nerve, which is the connection between your eye and your brain. So all that stuff starts to begin to develop when you're 3 week old embryo, which is amazing. And you have other things in your eye too, like these built-in protections that God gave you, like your tears. Your tears help clean and clear your eyes. They're a natural outlet. You have actually a hole at the bottom of your eye. I don't know if you've ever looked very closely, but there's like a drainage system so that you're not constantly crying all the time, or tears dripping out of your eyes. They drain, and then your eyelashes and eyebrows help keep like dirt and sweat out of your eyes. So it's pretty cool. All right. Your cornea. Your cornea is kind of the front part of your eye in the middle of your eye. It's the outermost layer. It's that dome-shaped part. What's amazing about this is, I think about this a lot. It's transparent, so the light can come in without scattering. It has to be clear, right? So it's composed of these fibers that are lined up in a very specific way to allow light to pass through kind of just clearly, like without scattering. And the cornea is responsible for refracting the light, which means whichever way the light is coming from you in the room or outside, it's going to kind of focus itself into the middle of your eye, into your pupil, the black part. It's very sensitive. It's really densely packed with thousands of nerve endings, which is why if you try to get close to touch the middle of your eye, you blink or you shift. It's a kind of a natural built-in protection. But you can touch the white part of your eye pretty easily, but the middle part is very hard to touch if you try to. Okay, now the iris. That's your not Shannon, but the iris. The iris is the colored part of your eye. it regulates the amount of light that goes in your eye. It's kind of like a muscle. It might be a muscle. I don't know. Is it a muscle? This might be a muscle. It's a muscle. I'm looking at Irene and my wife, who know more about this than I do. Um, it contracts and expands to let more or less light in. The color of your eye is determined by genetics, and it's actually determined by multiple genes to get it, which is why sometimes you have bluish, greenish eyes and so on. So you can have a kind of a variety. It's like a fingerprint. It's very unique to each individual, and they look amazing when you kind of do them like that. All right. So now the lens, mashallah, this is when it starts to get pretty amazing. So the lens is a structure behind your pupil. It's inside your eye that refracts even further the light. So as the light goes through your cornea, goes through the pupil, it hits the lens. And the lens can actually, as you kind of see here, it changes shape to accommodate if you're looking at something close or far. When you look at something pretty close, it gets kind of short and thick to kind of bend the light more. And then when you're looking at something farther, it thins out and gets straighter to like kind of let the light pass through. It's pretty amazing. That all happens obviously without you having to do anything. It just happens on its own. Praise God. And then again, this is another one part of your eye that's also transparent. So it's composed of these proteins that are exactly precisely arranged to allow the light to pass through without suddenly scattering, or else everything would look super bright and super cloudy to us all the time. So that's pretty amazing, by God's leave. All right. Now, I promise we're getting somewhere towards my hypothesis. I just thought I'd lay the groundwork here. All right, this is where it starts to get really super cool. The retina. Now, the retina, we might be familiar with. It's the back part of your eye. It's responsible for absorbing light, and it has those photoreceptor cells in it. So this is amazing by God's leave. So there's cells in the back of your eye that when the light hits it, it converts the information of what it's seeing into electrical signals. So you're not really seeing what you're seeing. Your brain or your eye is converting it to electrical signals. It's like I don't even know how to explain it very well, but the electrical signals are processed through your neural cells, which help to refine what you're seeing and then eventually send it through your optic nerve to your brain for further processing, which we'll talk about. So, but this is the sort of first step of it goes away from being what you see to now what you're going to process. All right. So how do these signals work? First, we may have all learned this at some point in grade school, but it's interesting again to know here. You see images upside down, or upside down images are presented to the back of your eye upside down. And that's because there's a very small hole, which is your pupil, kind of sees the light come in straight lines. And when you create a straight line from the top of it, what you're looking at, it goes to the bottom of the back of your eye. So this is kind of amazing. Your eye sees things upside down, but you obviously see the world right side up, which means your brain is having to do the figuring out to not only see it right side up, but to create the 3D image of what you're seeing. Because you can only see it in 2D, or your visual system is only seeing it in 2D. And the other thing that's interesting about this, I didn't really think about this, but when you, like, say you tilt your head sideways, not everything doesn't all of a sudden look sideways. Everything looks right side up still. You're just processing it looking sideways. And that's because your brain works with your inner ear function to realize I'm tilting my head. Things are not upside down or turned on their side. So it helps you still understand that the world is oriented the right way, even if your head is not straight up and down. It's pretty cool. So uh, the nerve impulses are encoding. The nerve will encode this image and send it to your brain. And now this is where your brain starts to act on this image, on what you're seeing. So this is a little bit heady, but no pun intended. So your vision, impulses from your eye go to your brain, and there's different parts of your brain that are responsible for what you see. The first part, which is called the visual cortex, is the very first part. It's responsible for just shapes, motion, edges, like very rudimentary things. Then it's sent to other parts of your brain to see, like, do I recognize this person's face? Do I understand the relationship? Like, how far is something from me, or how close is it? And colors of objects. So we have specialized part of our brains for understanding different parts. And this is where it starts to tie into my hypothesis. The brain is interpreting what your eyes sent you in the electrical signals. So you're not actually seeing, I'm not looking at my computer. I'm looking at my computer, but my brain is creating a perception of what my computer is and what it means to me, how far I am from it. So there's not like an image in my head of a computer, it's a creation of a perception of what this computer is, which is an opportunity for things to start going awry or create an illusion potentially that changes your perception of how reality actually is. A couple of interesting things where things can go awry. There's some diseases that folks have, which I had never heard of. I mean, one we've probably all heard of is facial blindness. There's a disease where if I look at somebody I recognize, like Hossein, I can't actually recognize his face. I don't know who he is, even though I know him. If he starts talking, I might know who he is, but if I look at his face, I can't tell who he is. That's a disease some people have. There's another one that I can look at an object, but I can't recognize if it's moving, which it's amazing. I mean, I can look at a car, but I can't tell it's moving. This is a funny one for anyone who's into music. Somehow there's a visual problem where a person can look at a sheet of music, but can't read it. They can't read what the music is. And that doesn't mean you don't understand it. It means somehow you can't see the shapes and understand them as music. Yeah, so it starts to lead to funny potential for illusion here. And I just want to take a moment to sort of reflect on being really thankful for what we have. So I'm going to read 32:7. He is the one who perfected everything. He created and started the creation of the human from clay. Then he continued his reproduction through a certain lowly liquid. He shaped him and blew into him from his spirit, and he gave you the hearing, the eyesight, and the brains. Rarely are you thankful. Satan hypnotizes his constituents. 7179. We have committed to hell multitudes of jinns and humans. They have minds with which they do not understand, eyes with which they do not see, and ears with which they do not hear. They are like animals. No, they are far worse. They are totally unaware. 650. Say, I do not say to you that I possess the treasures of God, nor do I know the future, nor do I say to you that I am an angel. I simply follow what is revealed to me. Say, is the blind the same as the seer? Do you not reflect? So hopefully, like, some of the stuff that I talked about gives you some reflection on, like, being thankful for how complex and intricate and amazing our visual system is, that we use it every day to process the world around us. Probably like 95% of the world around us, and it's amazing. And I think we maybe can use an opportunity to reflect a little more on it. All right, so let's go back to our hypothesis. Our visual system is designed by God to produce and enhance this temporary illusion. Well, let's do the opposite of that. What happens with the disbeliever? So 2:6 says, as for those who disbelieve, it is the same for them. Whenever you warn them or not warn them, they cannot believe. God seals their minds and their hearing, and their eyes are veiled. They have incurred severe retribution. So I think the opposite of disbelievers we know that have their eyes veiled. I think as believers, we can have our eyes sort of unveiled. We have our eyes be able to see what others cannot see, which is the truth, which is God's truth. So I think we're like 50% of the way there. And I want to talk about one other thing that I think gets us all the way there, which is called the allegory of the cave. So this was a philosophical metaphor presented by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. It's supposed to be one of the most well-known allegories in the history of philosophy. I've never heard of it, but here we go. So it's pretty cool. It pretty ties into submission, I think, really well. All right, so we're going to start with the setting of the cave. So Imagine there's a group of people who've been imprisoned since birth in the cave. And if you can see at the very bottom, there's a guy shackled to a wall at the bottom of a cave. So they're bound in such a way that they can only see the wall of the cave and they can't turn their heads. Behind them, and kind of above them, there's a fire. And between the prisoners and the fire, there's this raised walkway. So along the walkway, there's people carrying objects like statues or vases and what have you. And those objects are presenting a shadow on the wall that the prisoners can see. Okay, so that's the setting. The prisoners, if they're down there, they can only see the shadow. So their reality is the shadow. They think that that's what reality is. They only see that shadow. And we know better, but they don't know any better. They were there since birth. So they think that's reality. And to me, that's sort of like it could be anyone prior to submission, like anyone who's not a believer is just that's the reality. They see the shadow and that's all they know. So what happens next? Imagine if one of the prisoners is now freed from their bonds and they turn to look at the fire and the objects in the shadow. They start to see that there's something else here. Like, this is amazing. They're maybe dazzled a little bit. They're disoriented. Like, there's a new reality. And to me, this is akin to first learning about the message. And you start to understand and see the world in a new way. It doesn't mean you fully get it, but you start to see there's more to it than just these shadows on a wall or just this temporary illusion, essentially. Okay. Then now imagine the free prisoner is going outside of the cave. So they're now like up here somewhere. And when they're in the daylight, they see the entire world. They see there's a fire and there was a shadow being cast, and it becomes this overwhelming experience. There's so much more to it than just these shadows on a wall that I was looking at a few moments ago. Um, I see the world in its true form as God has created it and has God intended it for the believers. And I think that's where we start to uh, break free from the veil and break free from the illusion is you start to obey God's commands. You learn more about God. The veil is lifted from your eyes and you see his promise and you see the truth in the world. Okay, so that's the illusion being unveiled. Now, what's the responsibility of the philosopher in this case, or us as submitters? Your return to the cave, the free prisoner might be compelled to return to the cave or pass the message to other people, essentially. So in this allegory, the prisoner returns to the cave and says, hey, prisoners, like the rest of you, I've seen the world. I've experienced it. It's great. There's so much more than the shadow. And the prisoners go, no, you're crazy. There's only shadow. Like, that's all. You're making things up. You're like, I don't believe you at all. I only know the shadow and I'm not, there's nothing else. Oh, sorry. All right, I'll be done in just a moment. Which to me is sort of akin to the disbelievers. So the disbelievers are destined for hell. In 2:6, which I read earlier, it said, as for those who disbelieve, it is the same for them. Whether you warn them or not warn them, they cannot believe. There is no choice for these people who are left within the shadow, viewing the shadow. They just can't believe it. There's nothing else that they can believe. They're blocked from believing anything beyond what they're actually seeing in front of their eyes. Okay. So let's quickly reflect since I'm running out of time. That's me thinking about the subject every day all the time. Just staring into the abyss. Okay, so deaf, dumb, and blind. Let's read this. So maintaining the status quo, a human tragedy, 2:170. When they are told, follow what God has revealed herein, they say, we follow only what we found our parents doing. What if our parents did not understand and were not guided? The example of such disbelievers is that of parrots who repeat what they hear in the sounds, what they hear of sounds and calls without understanding. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they cannot understand. 2:16, sorry. It is they who bought the straying at the expense of guidance. Such trades never prosper, nor do they receive any guidance. Their example is like those who start a fire. Then, as it begins to shed light on them, God takes away their light, leaving them in darkness, unable to see. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they fail to return. The overwhelming miracle of the Quran, 639. Those who reject our proofs are deaf and dumb in total darkness. Whomever God wills, he sends astray, and whomever he wills, he leads in a straight path. All right, so to conclude, here's our hypothesis, or my hypothesis, not ours, mine. So, our visual system is designed by God to produce and enhance this temporary illusion, which I think is true in that the visual system includes your perception and your eyesight, but it's only true if you add, oh, that didn't work right. It says for the disbelievers. So our visual system is designed by God to produce and enhance this temporary illusion for disbelievers. If you're a believer, I think 50:22 sort of holds true. You used to be oblivious to this. We now remove your veil today. Your vision is as strong as steel. When you have your veil lifted, you can see the world for what it really is, a temporary illusion. I think it allows us to, we can take advantage of that by stop using our brain power to see and use this worldly illusion and start using it to enhance our submission to God. Thank you.
As you all know, it's question time. Put your hands up.
Most of Nathan, mind blowing.
No.
It was really good.
Merci.
Um, so you explained the analogy of how we see things in this world, and then we went to another theory, the cave theory,
Mm.
and you explained it really well. The people who are in the cave and they see only shadows, and um, like correlated that really well with the disbelievers, which they have limited vision to reality. But the part that um, I want to see how you perceive this concept from the physical point of view, like from the first analogy that you give on how we see things and its illusion. Do you think that we see things different in physical sense, or it was just a allegory?
Like your perception, and
Yeah.
or is it actually physically different? Um, yeah, actually, I asked Irene about this yesterday because I wasn't sure. Like I gave the example of if I look at my water bottle and you look at my water bottle, are we going to see two different water bottles? Are we going to, you're going to see a car and I'm going to see the water bottle? At first I thought that's crazy. There's no way. But Irene assured me there's a possibility of you seeing something different than I do. Now, it's not going to happen all the time, and that's not really the point I was trying to make. But I think most of it, I believe, and why it sort of the way I concluded is that it's a lot to do with your perception and how you interpret what you're seeing. So the physical object, yes, there are situations like the examples I gave of facial blindness, or I think Irene had given me an example yesterday where if I look at you, there's certain people who can't see in front of them, right? Like there's a blank spot, and your brain fills in imagery in it, so you can see something completely different than I can. So it's possible, but I think what I'm trying to get at here is that it's mostly about your perception. So if I look at I don't know, um, my children, right? Like somebody, I think Ali Reza said it, like a lot of children can be frustrating for us sometimes, but we can also, we might look at it in this room, we might look at children as a gift from God, and we have a different view of it. So the illusion is in our perception, I think, mostly of what we see, but there is potential for actual physical differences. And, the physical differences occur not necessarily in how your eye takes in an image, but how your brain perceives that image. That's usually where the difference is. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Any other?
Yeah, we still have.
Oh, okay.
All right. How do I say that? I'm upset that you've been depriving us for so long.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, mashallah. Mashallah.
For sharing.
Before.
Question. I've given this comment in the past before. I just thought I would share. I think it really helps augment the point you were making. Because I'm really into like photography, and I think about how perfect the design is of our eyes, and how we can spend like I've done research on this before. The most expensive camera, for instance, can be $20,000. And we can spend thousands and thousands of dollars to try to replicate something as perfect as our eyes, and it doesn't even come close.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. So thank
Inshallah.
you for like really elaborately
Of course.
through how eyesight is.
Mashallah, mercy. Thank you.
So just to comment on what you said about cameras. So if you were to take your eyes and convert it into a megapixel for cameras, it's a little over 500 megapixel camera.
Wow.
But what I wanted to talk about is more of a comment than a question.
Sure.
Your hypothesis about the enhancement of the illusion, I think, is supported in the Quran itself. And I want to read this one verse, if I can pull it up. Okay. And it's interesting that the subheading of it is short-sightedness. And Surah 2, verse 12. This worldly life is adorned in the eyes of the disbelievers. This, to me, is the confirmation of your hypothesis that these things are enhanced for the disbelievers in their eyes. Versus, this is another verse that talks about when the devil whispers to you any idea, they become seers. Meaning you see the perception of what this thing is actually is not good for you. Even though you are seeing the same thing that a disbeliever is seeing, your perception of it is that this is not good for me. That's why God says they become seers and they seek refuge.
Yeah.
So that's just
That kind of goes to maybe the point for you, like depending on what your belief is, you'll see or interpret things or understand things very differently potentially.
Yeah.
The veil is the veil on or off, you know? That's all right. Thank you.
MashaAllah, Nathan, thank you. That was awesome. So, do you see a relationship between sight and foresight? Meaning, one is physical, like you said, and the other one is understanding of what you see. So, although foresight to me means understanding what you see, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the relationship I see is that it's the interpretation or understanding. So it's sort of like what Shariar said. It depends on if what you see, a believer and a disbeliever will have a very different understanding or interpretation of whatever it is that they're looking at. Maybe not for every day, like a car is a car is a car, but you might have a different understanding or belief system or appreciation. I think I think that's where the difference is in how you perceive that information. It's sort of like the guys with the shadows. They're seeing a shadow, but they don't understand that there's way more to it than just the shadow that I'm seeing. There's a lot more that's deeper, which is for us God's system, God's truth. We even though we might see the same shadow as them, we understand there's way more going on than just that shadow. So to me, that's not. I I think I started this sort of with thinking maybe our eyes can play tricks on us, but it's not our eyes, it's our understanding and our brains, how we perceive it, I think is where the real sort of mystery or where how this temporary illusion is created. It's in our minds, I think.
Assalamu alaikum, Nathan.
Sounds-
That was a great speech. It reminded me of a situation because you mentioned that two people could be looking at the same thing and see it very differently. Well, and it's a scientific fact as well that that's true. But Quranically, it's actually a similar situation. So there's the verses are really good. Page 43 and 44 of the Dutch version. God made them appear in your dream over habit, few in number, Had he made them a bit more numerous, you would have failed and you would have disputed among yourselves. But God saved the situation. He's Noah of the innermost force, and here it is. And when the time came and you faced them, he made them appear fewer in your eyes and made you appear fewer in their eyes as well. For God will to carry out a certain plan, all decisions are made by him. So it's absolutely true. It's
Mashallah, yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, thank God no one's asking me about the actual eyeball. 'Cause I don't even, that's all I know is what's on that paper. There's still time though. God. Sound like
Yes, I agree with all you. You should be up here more often.
Amazing. God will.
So I wanted to kind of tell you, I can really relate to the cave, to the Matrix too, right?
Yeah, the Matrix is another great example. Yeah.
It's kind of like I remember Shabbat when we first became submitters, that veil was removed. And I remember walking outside with her, and we were just born, right? The Christians talk about being reborn, right? And we were walking outside, we're like smelling the flowers, and like, wow, it's like where we
Yeah,
been,
yeah.
right? It's almost I can imagine that guy coming out of the cave and he's looking at everything, thinking, look at all of it. I mean, we had been driving through it, walking through it for years before that, but we didn't really stop and see, smell the roses, like they say,
Yeah.
and we didn't really see it. I mean, and you're right. We not only did we see the truth, but we saw the world in a different way.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you remember a time that happened to you that the veil was removed and you're like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, I've come out of the matrix. I've come out of the cave and I'm like, what's going on?
Honestly, it happens every day, thank God. Like I think I try to make it a point to do that remembering because I know, whatever you remember most or throughout the day is your God. So I try to remember God in that. I mean, I play golf, so whenever I play golf, I'm looking around at like how amazing God's creation is. And even though I'm maybe frustrated with the game or whatever it might be, I seriously, I stop myself. I look at the mountains, I look at the grass, I look at around me, and I go, "This is amazing! Like look what I'm doing right now." And the one that's most for me is actually eyesight. That's the one where I think about it the most because I've always your eyesight, you don't really, I guess for non-believers or maybe anyone outside of like being an eye doctor, you probably don't think about it very much. You just go about your day and you're looking at things, you don't think about it. But I just, ever since kind of submission, I just thought like there must be some connection between your eyes, how I'm seeing the world and how I'm perceiving the world, and how God wants me to, or how it's connected between a believer and a disbeliever. And I think that is a constant reminder for me of this world is just an illusion. I'm seeing the illusion all around me, but I know better, So that to me is an everyday reminder all the time when I'm driving, when I'm seeing my kids. It doesn't matter. Like I try to remind myself that I'm visually seeing the illusion in front of me, but I know it's the illusion. Thank you, Michelle.
Mashallah.
Oh.
That's all for good questions.
Oh.
Thank you so much. So while Anas is practicing,
Sorry.
so let us swiftly move on to our next speaker, which is Arman. Say your name right.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. It's mine one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's on?
Just it's very simple.
Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, first I want to say thank you to everyone who organized this conference, mashallah. This is a blessing.
Yeah.
Mashallah. I also wanted to say this, the croissants outside are like really good. And yeah. So, all right. So today I'm gonna talk about the day the music died, which is February 3rd, 1959. So three guys by chance they basically got in a plane, which they were famous singers, and they yeah, okay, so this is a excerpt from a newspaper article talking about it. And here's the guys. There's Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Big Bopper. And so the story of these guys is pretty crazy. So the tour buses were really dirty and cold because they were going on tour and they wanted to get somewhere. So Buddy Holly chartered a plane, and it was just Buddy Holly and his two bandmates. So, but the Big Bopper had the flu, so he swapped with one of the bandmates. And then Richie Valens, he wanted to get on the plane, so he did a coin toss to the other bandmate, and he won. So then he got to go on the plane. So then after that, the plane crashed and they all died, and they're all under 40. So he's 22. He's the Richie Valens is 17. He looks like yeah, and he's 28. Yeah. So they all died under 40, and everyone on Earth was grieving. They were probably celebrating. They just, if they lived past 40, it's likely they would have been swept up in idol worship. They probably would have made it. It's just one example of how God controls the time of death and who goes into his kingdom. So I'm going to read a verse now. So I'm going to read 3:154. Moment of death predetermined. I secret words. After the setback, he sent down upon you peaceful slumber that pacified some of you. Others among you were selfishly concerned about themselves. They harbored thoughts about God that were not right, the same thoughts they had harbored during the days of ignorance. Thus they said, "Is anything up to us?" Say, "Everything is up to God." They concealed inside themselves what they did not reveal to you. They said, "If it was up to us, none of us would have been killed in this battle." Say, had you stayed in your homes, those destined to be killed would have crawled back into their deathbeds. God thus puts you to the test to bring out your true convictions and to test what is in your hearts. God is fully aware of the innermost thoughts. So God probably saw something in these three guys that allowed them to get into heaven. So I also have some more examples of things that have happened that were just crazy and only God could have controlled it. So okay, so this guy, my dad told me about him, and he's basically trying to live as long as he can. He's a anti-aging athlete. He spends $2 million a year on trying to live as long as possible, and he has chronic depression and he has a heart problem. So yes, definitely not working out for him. But he needs to yeah, let's just show that God controls everything, and whatever this guy does, is probably gonna have die a miserable death. But okay, so then there's this example. There's this guy. Um, I was trying to find his cause of death, and like seven different websites said different things, but I just went to history.com. So history.com says that he had a headache at his wife's house. He took an aspirin and then he took a nap. He never woke up at 32. So, and a bunch of other websites that he has a brain edema and it's like a mystery and like, but God probably saw something in him that allowed him to get to heaven. So, yeah, that's a miracle right there. So, I'm also going to read some verses here. 2270. Do you not realize that God knows everything in the heavens and everything on earth. All this is recorded in a record. This is easy for God to do. And now I'm going to read 11:12. God's revelation is heavy. You may wish to disregard some of that which is revealed to you, and you may be annoyed by it. Also, they may say, how come no treasure comes down to him, or an angel? You are only a warner. God controls all things. So, back to the example of the people who died, those singers that died. So, like, it was basically all the family members and stuff were just devastated, and the wife of Buddy Holly even had like a miscarriage due to grief. So it was pretty much a punishment for all of them. But those guys, they made it, and so now I'm gonna talk about this. So there's people, it's pretty common actually. They think I control my own destiny, I make uh, my own road and stuff. But you know that God controls everything, and He is controlling whatever happens to people. And no matter how much Brian Johnson spends, he's never gonna make it to heaven if he continues this way. So yeah, it's basically so the disbelievers, try and if they try to write their own story, they can't. They don't have the ability to um do what they think is gonna happen to them. What's gonna happen is up to God. So now I'm gonna talk about him. So you probably know who this is. It's Albert Einstein. So I was looking up some quotes and stuff, and I come across this one, and I found this page full of stuff that he had thoughts on, and it was just stuff about how he believed that you could write your own destiny and all that stuff. He was, I think, an atheist, so he was definitely wrong. So don't be like him. All right, and now I'm gonna wrap it up. So the idea you have to get from this is you have to just trust God, and everything will eventually go your way. And no matter what you do, your only thing that's gonna happen is what God wills for you. And I thought it was interesting that I was talking about like the moment of death. Well, my grandfather passed away, but he's uh but it's so what only God controls what happens. So I thought it was a interesting coincidence about why I was going to talk about this and the
Round of applause once again. Right, so we're gonna go to questions first. I see one hand. Two, one, two.
I'm Armand's mom. One correction is that there's no probably with God, and
Yeah.
God knows. So God knows the destiny and like what's in our hearts, and so those people were chosen to go under 40. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing I had to think about.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't have questions. I just had two questions for this and then.
I thought you were the second one.
Okay, I'll be the second. Um, so doing this research and seeing all these people who passed when they were under the age of 40, did you learn anything about how there's a limit to our lifespan here on this earth and how quickly we can go?
Yeah. It's like we could go at any moment really. It's like sort of it depends on it's whatever God wills, I guess. So yeah,
No guess.
yeah, no guess. 100%.
Mashallah, another big hand. So next up we have the younger children who are doing their speeches. And just to give them some encouragement, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the young ladies at the back there. So Chloe, Farhan, Tarina, to come and sit closer where your friends can see you and you can encourage them and they can, it'll be nice for them as well. So we together. Nice. Okay, well, just remember, as for those of you who have already come up, give speeches. For those of you, who haven't, just guys, please. Can we just remember that the younger children? It is difficult as adults to stand and give speeches. As a public speaker myself, I get every time I get up wherever I am in the world. Some of them it's the first time. All their first time. So let's just give a little bit of respect with no whispering amongst yourselves. Just focus. Remember where your chin is. Yeah, let's just pay attention. Thank you so much.
Right, so let's give a quick warm welcome to Italia.
Knock knock. Orange. Orange, you glad I'm giving a speech? Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I really love food. So, food is all around us. It's such an important part of our lives and survival. I sure learned a lot writing this speech, and I hope you learn a lot too. Let's start with a verse from the Quran. 10:24. I was going to say the analogy of this worldly life is like this. We send down water from the sky to produce it with all kinds of plants from the earth, and to provide food for the people and the animals. Then, just as the earth is perfectly adorned and its people think that they are in control thereof, our judgment comes by night or by day, leaving it completely barren, as if nothing existed the previous day. We thus explain the revelations for the people who reflect. So I want to talk about a food that we've probably all had, which is rice. When you're eating rice, you probably, or you might not be thinking about the hard work and the significance of this food. So once you think about it, though, it's really amazing how God designed these tiny grains. So India and Pakistan are two of the largest producers of the delicious basmati rice. Large rice fields are completely covered in water. In fact, it takes 8 full bathtubs of water to just feed 1 kilo of rice. When the rice is fully grown, oh, something got plugged out.
It's okay.
Uh, farmers pick the stalk out of the wet soil and use a process called threshing to get the grains off the stalk. So threshing is basically banging the stalk on bamboo to get the pieces off easier than just picking everyone off. So eventually the rice is dried and shipped around the world for everyone to enjoy. The whole process takes about 6 months before it finally reaches your plate. So, yeah, the next time you're having a bowl of rice, you really have to think and appreciate the blessing from God. The next food I want to talk about is oranges. So, I love all kinds of fruits, but I thought oranges were the most interesting to talk about. So 6141. He is the one who established gardens, trellised and untrellised, and palm trees, and crops with different tastes, and olives and pomegranate, fruits that are similar yet dissimilar. Eat from their fruits and give the due alms on the day of harvest, and do not waste anything. He does not love the wasters. Oranges are so good for you, mashallah. They are full of vitamin C. Vitamin C helps your body in a lot of ways, like protecting your cells from damage and helping your body make collagen, which heals wounds and gives you smoother skin. It also boosts your immune system, which is why it's a good idea to have orange juice when someone in your family starts coughing and sneezing. It can also help slow down some diseases that cause vision loss. Um, so the last thing I wanted to talk about were some of the great provisions we get from cows. So 1666, and in the livestock there's a lesson for you. We provide you with the drink from their bellies. From the midst of digested food and blood, you get pure milk, delicious for the drinkers. So cows are really cute, especially all the Highland cows we've seen around Scotland. Mhm. And cows give us so much. They continuously milk for us and make all kinds of things like cheese, butter, and ice cream. We also eat the meat from cows in steak, burgers, and burritos. And we also use their hides, which is their skin, to make leather items like shoes, jackets, and even homes. So in 1680 it says, "And God provided for you stationary homes where you can live, and he provided for you portable homes made of the hides of livestock, so you can use them when you travel and when you settle down. And from their wools, furs and hair, you make furnishings and luxuries for a while." So whether you are eating rice, oranges, steak, milk, or using a cow's hide for your roof, we should think about and appreciate what we have. As God's messenger of the covenant says in Appendix 27, we should glorify God day and night. When we eat anything, we shouldn't be like animals. We must reflect on God's creation of the food we are eating, the flavor, our enjoyment due to the senses God has given us, the perfect packaging of the banana or the orange, varieties of seafoods created by God, etc. And glorify Him as we enjoy His provisions. When we see a beautiful flower or animal or sunsets, we must glorify God. We must seize every possible opportunity to remember and glorify God, so that God may be our God. Thank you.
MashaAllah, that was amazing. Orange, you guys, you heard it? So we're going to take some questions. Go on, Ryan.
Sound like Natalia, that was so wonderful. God bless you. Great speech. I just wanted to know what your favorite food is. All right. That's burgers. That's a hard question. That's no
What was Sabzi? Oh,
Especially the production of rice.
okay.
We so often uh, fail to remember how much effort it takes and waste. But I have a question for you. What do you appreciate more? The hospital, I mean, the hotel food here, or the KFC across the street?
Well, I mean, it depends if if I think about God when I'm eating. If yeah, so I mean, it depends whether the food here when if I forget to think about it, astaghfirullah, if I forget, then it doesn't taste as good. But if I remember when I'm eating KFC, then it's probably gonna taste better.
MashaAllah. Another big round of applause. Well done.
Yes, stuck.
MashaAllah. Well done, Latanya. That was really great encouragement for the other children that are here. Inshallah, the next conference we'll see you giving speeches, but we still have more. So up next is
We have Arshan.
Huh? No.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with my Submitter family this week, mashallah. Um, today I want to talk about being grateful for things. Not just being grateful for anything, but like the smaller things that people don't usually mention while they're talking about what they're being grateful for. So to start with, when you ask someone what they're grateful for, they usually say things like family, wealth, health, and things like that. And that's great, mashallah. Like whenever when we were back before summer vacation, my mom, whenever we were driving to school, she'd always like ask us what we're grateful for, three things. So yeah, everyone would like usually mention like wealth, health, stuff like that, and that's pretty much but I try to mention the things that like are like smaller that like we don't usually take time to appreciate that much. I'm not saying no one does, but like not as much as the bigger things. Um, so yeah. Um, so in Surah 3, Surah 3, verse 144, God says, God rewards those who are appreciative. Um, I'll give you a list of small things. It might be a bit odd, but remember, it's things that people don't usually mention. Okay, so I'm grateful for the big things God has given me as well, for things like paintings. So, like, I mean, imagine like a house without paintings, just like plain walls, like um, water, like it's like what we need to survive. Electricity, we have to all be in the dark. Can't do your homework in the night. Um, Shampoo, if you didn't have it, you'll have flies around your head. Uh, and so you could like imagine like all the times if you didn't get to wash your hands, how many times like I went fishing and I had to touch that slimy stuff. So sixth is dishes. Without dishes, you don't want to eat your food off a table, would you? Um, Band-aids to cover wounds. By God's grace, help us heal. Chairs, so you don't want to stand really. Um, Books, it's like one of the main enjoyments of life. Pens, to write things down. Paper, so like you can use the pen. Cups, so like you don't have to like drink the water out of the fountain always. Heaters, so you don't have to be freezing. Blankets, same as heaters. Shoes, so you don't have to walk barefoot. Music, so yeah, just to make life more fun. And so much more. When you have time, some extra time in Shaw, it'd be really great to make a list similar like the one I made, to appreciate the little things and reflect on all the small things we have. Cause like, I mean, like all the things I listed, if we didn't have it, like, it wouldn't be that great. And yeah, it's like things you might not think of every day, but having them makes life so much more convenient by God's grace. And thank you for listening. That's my speech.
Well done, well done. So, I have a good question actually as well, but I'll let you go to put your hand up first.
Much a great speech, Arshan. What's an example of a small thing you're grateful about so far in Europe?
In Europe, hot water. Sorry.
I get that. What is that?
I thought I did showers.
So, Asha, my question is, and I know you gave a list as well of some small things to be, thankful for and stuff like that. If you was to give somebody a piece of advice on how to remember to give thanks about the small things, what would you say?
I'd say just like look around you guys. Like if we didn't have like roof over our head, walls, like just like be grateful for the little things. Because like if we didn't have those, it'd have a big impact on our lives. So that's very
Okay, so mashallah, that's amazing. Next up on the itinerary is lunch, but it's not because we have another speaker who's going to come up and just give a very quick 2-minute speech. So can we welcome up?
A special edition, Darian.
Hold it close, yeah? What can this not do? Can't see.
Honoring their parents. It's important to honor your parents. Our parents do a lot for us. Our parents love us a lot. They share they share their they share their house with us, they share their yard with us. In 283, God tells us, you shall honor your parents. And 31:15, God tells us we don't obey our parents if they tell us to do idol worship.
Louder, louder, come on, people. And a really, really good reminder that everyone needs to hear. We do have one question for you over there to know what. We're gonna get you a mic, don't worry. So, Darian, I'm sure it's hard this, but we spend a lot of time together in the presence of your parents, of course, as I've babysat you and your brothers many times. And there's been a lot of times where I've seen that you've done some really sweet things for your parents by God's grace. So I want to see if you can remember any and share with all of us the things that you've done to honor them.
What? Um, I make paintings for them and I draw for them. Sometimes I make them breakfast. Yeah. You help with cooking? Yeah, and I help with cooking sometimes. And you give them money? You give? Yes.
Mashallah. Okay, we do have a few minutes left before lunch. So as I told you earlier, I do team building. So I've been asked to do an activity with you all. So I've just put the thought of something, and I still really need your help. Yeah, and I doesn't really know what I'm doing. I've just had to make this up. I've had to steal this yarn from my daughter. She will want it back because she's making stuff for kids. Inshallah. So what I'm going to ask you to do, just take a moment just to think about a blessing that you have got or something that you need to work on that you're happy to share amongst us. Let us learn a little bit more about each other. Ideally, we're not going to have time to go around to everyone, but I'll throw this to someone. If you catch it, then please do make a share. We'll come over with a microphone. I'll let Anna throw it to someone.
I'm first.
But and then once you've made your share, please throw it to somebody else. We're only going to do this for about 5 minutes. If you could keep your shares short, just so that we can get through as many people as possible, just to learn a little bit about you. So anything that you'd like to share with your family here today, inshallah.
Well, mashallah, one thing I'm blessed at is being able to attend my first conference. It doesn't feel like my first. It doesn't even feel like the first time meeting a lot of you. It feels like I've known you guys for years. And some conversations that I've been having with Submitted recently, You know when you meet fellow submitters, you never get that awkwardness. Like, you know when you meet somebody new and it's a bit awkward when to introduce yourselves and find something that you can relate to. But no, when you meet submitters, you already have something you can relate to, and that awkwardness is just gone. So yeah, I am thankful for being here and grateful that I had this opportunity, and God willing, many more conferences to come, inshallah.
Foundations. Okay, please throw it to someone.
You have to follow the front.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I am so grateful for this conference that we are just gathering together, all the submitters after many years after COVID, we haven't been together. I am so grateful for the path that I am in today, right path by God's grace. God guided me, and I just pray to God continue to be in this path for rest of my life.
Inshallah.
And for my family, for my grandkids, for all friends and family that I have here.
For someone else.
Thank you. If you'd like to pray to someone else. So just try and make it a little bit personal. We're all happy to be here at the conference, mashallah. We all want the best for each other and our families, but let's try and keep it a little bit more personal so we can learn more about each other. There's one thing that was said about the UK community. We really do share our personal stories, and it really does connect us further. And I think that's a really good thing that we could do at conferences as well, inshallah.
Inshallah. Great speeches, great, mashallah, conference. As a submitter, I'm very grateful to God that He has put submission in my path, and I'm a submitter. And for that virtue, I can appreciate and be grateful anything that happens in my life. And I know there's a good reason for that. I appreciate God. I'm grateful to God for my submitter family, for my blessed family, my children, our grandchildren, everything that God has given me. And praise be to God, the Lord of the universe.
Like to hear from. Alice has got the mic on that side. Who's got it? Darian.
Dora passed me.
Something that you're grateful for, personal, or something that you want to welcome. So.
So can all
Mashallah. Okay, throw it up to someone else.
Yes, could you do?
Just throw it. They've got to decide where it lands. Thank you, Marsha. Alice has given up. Alice is practicing again.
So, I've been known to like work with children for a long time in my life. And by God's leave through that, I've gained a lot of patience with children. But with adults, especially my friends and my brother right here, that has not transitioned as much. And one thing I noticed in past couple years of my life is that I'm especially with him very quick to get annoyed and angry at any small mess up he does. But much like he's a great brother and he's always looking out for me, even as a younger brother, he's doing so much. And even when I get mad at him when I call him names, I kind of feel bad in the moment, but like it's like really too deep. So I would really like to get better with that and show him that he's appreciated and all the things he does. I appreciate them by God's spirit. Yeah.
Your mother tried. Be in trouble.
Assalamualaikum everybody. I mean, there's a lot to be grateful for, mashallah, but one of the things I'm grateful for is God giving me, blessing me with a beautiful child, mashallah. But one thing I actually want to work on is but I'm not a very patient person. So I'm grateful for God's timing. I think God has like proved again and again in my life, like His timing is the best. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, so God's timing is the best, Mashallah, and I've proved that in my life again and again. But yeah, I would like to work on trusting that more and being more patient. Yeah. So
Mashallah, thank you for sharing part of that.
Still in human hands.
Oh, Juju.
So I'm going that I'm going to meet all this new kid and to get together.
You throw that, who can throw that to?
The last one, so they can hug.
Here you go, Chloe.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm great.
Trusting in the house, she's going to throw me under the bus again. Let's see.
I'm grateful for being here. Being here. I don't have that many Submit friends except for they're like twins but they're pretty new, so sometimes they might not want to pray and stuff. So we can't really talk with them about like serious like Submit community stuff. But when I'm here, I'm with my new friends, new best friends, and I've met a lot of people here. And I'm really grateful for that, and I'm grateful for my mom who keeps guiding me on the right path.
God's one of guides, God's.
Yeah, God is guiding me, but my mom encouraging me to see it.
Okay, and on that note, I think it's time for lunch, and we'll see you next. See.